Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 23 of the Ballrooms and Bachelors podcast, where we talk about our experience as ballroom dancing students, Dancing with the Stars, and all things Bachelor. I'm Camille.
And I'm Matthew.
So on today's episode, we're going to talk about dance this past week. You know, we've been taking a little bit of a break over the holidays and just posting the episodes later on. And also, we have a special themed episode today. Again, it's just the two of us, though, this time. And we're going to go through some of our own memorable moments from Dancing with the Stars and the Bachelor franchise over the past however many years they've been on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we know that they've done their own versions of these episodes and these specials on both Dancing with the Stars memorable moments that we watched like earlier on and The Bachelor, but we wanted to do our own special.
Yes.
So we're just going to go through a bunch of different things that we thought of, and feel free to put your other favorite moments in the comments, and we'll be sure to look at them, and I'm sure we'll remember. There's just so many memorable moments, as you will see. The list just goes on and on. But yeah, so before we get into those memorable moments, Matthew, why don't you kick it off with filling us in on what you did during your holiday break?
Yeah, so besides the holiday party at the studio, and that was a lot of fun. I feel like we already talked about that, but that was really fun that we did. And then after the holiday party at the studio, and then I did another private lesson, and then we had Christmas, and then we had our last kind of like few group classes of December, and it was really fun because I'll talk about this in a minute, but I went to Texas to visit my grandparents for New Year's, and that week of it was the week of New Year's, so it was last week as the week we're recording this. I knew that we were only going to have one more, or the week before Christmas, I think we were going to have it was going to be our last week of the hip hop class, because like obviously there was going to be Christmas, and then the week of Christmas, and then I was going to be in Texas the following week on the Thursday when that class takes place. But it was only one of our friends and I in the group class on the Tuesday, and that's supposed to be West Coast Swing, and it was right after Christmas. I think it was the 27th. Yeah, 27th.
Yeah.
And so it was just one of our friends and I, and Elena was the only instructor there because David wasn't there. And Milos wasn't there either. It was just Elena, and she had came up to us and said, "Hey, what style do you want to do? We can do West Coast Swing if you want, or we can do something else." And then both our friend and I was just like, "Hey, let's do hip hop," because like I wouldn't be here for the hip hop class on the Thursday, and I came to find out that no one was there for the Thursday hip hop class, because that's usually a pretty quiet class anyway. Because I asked Elena, I was like, "Hey, did anybody show up for that Thursday class?" And she was like, "You would have been the only one if you showed up," because no one showed up.
Holiday week is always hard.
Yeah, holiday week is kind of crazy. Like that Tuesday,
I was not there at all.
No, I know. That Tuesday, Tuesday was so quiet. Like I said, it was just our friends in the class, and then there was only one private lesson going on after that, and then I did my private lesson after that group class. But I was really happy we got to do one more hip hop class, because I assumed that the following week or the week before Christmas was going to be our last hip hop class. Yeah. Because like I said, I assumed that since I'll be gone for vacation, that I won't get to do the final week of December for group class for that. So I'm glad we got to do one more hip hop class kind of unexpectedly. So that was fun. And we finished the whole buttons choreography. And so that was fun to do that. And then I went to Texas to visit my grandparents, and that was fun. And it was nice because it was like in the high 60s and low 70s the whole time we were there. So
you brought the weather back with you.
Brought the weather back, I know. And so I was very happy about that I kind of left. It was like 30 degrees when I left, and then again I came back and it was nice. But I just ate a lot of good food, because Texas is known for food. So I ate a lot of good food. I hung out with my grandparents, because that's something I like to kind of prioritize, since I don't see them as often. They live quite a few states away. And then I knew that, and I remember you did this when you went to Florida. Right, and you posted that you like kind of stopped by the Boca studio when you were in Florida, and I was like, well, hey, there's two Houston area locations of Dance With Me, our studio in Houston where my grandparents live. I was like, well, let me do that. And so I stopped by the Galleria one and just kind of said hi, and I went inside and just kind of checked out what was going on, and just saw the sign on the outside. And it looks really cool because the Galleria one is like all glass on the outside, because that's what businesses are like in those shopping centers. So it's like all these like glass windows around the location, so you can all the way outside to the street, and it's like a really cool just like vibe in the location. So that was fun to do, and that was one thing I wanted to make sure I did when I was there, just because it would be cool to say I went to another location of our studio. That's a cool thing about our studio, is that even though it's like a chain, it's not as big of a chain, so like there's more opportunities to visit like other studios, since there's like you have to like there's not like as many that you have to try to go to if you're like
there are 14,
there are 14 exactly.
Not like 1400, but there's like 1400.
Yeah. And some of the other dance studio chains I know have like 1,000 plus.
Yeah.
I know probably makes it a little bit easier, or not as easier to do that, but and it's nice because like we've talked about before, is that even though it's a chain of 14 studios, a lot of us become very close, or at least friends with each other from the other studios, because a lot of the like say Texas studios and the Vegas studios and the studios in the city, if we have like an AODC competition or even a Dance the Only competition, a lot of them come to those competitions too. So we'll see them at the galas, we'll see them do showcases, we'll see them compete, and wind up talking to them and stuff like that. So that's a cool thing. I know we've talked about with our studio, that it's nice that we kind of have that community with all the locations, even if they're in different states. So that was fun. And yeah, that's pretty much all I did. And I've been back for like 5 days now. Yeah, like I'm trying to see how long it's been since I came back to New Jersey, but I've been home for like 5 days, and we just kind of kicked back things up with Dan on Monday, and that's pretty much it for a holiday with me, or for me.
Yeah, I was off from work, and I really didn't do that much because I had my skating show right before we filmed the episode with Elena. We I just did a little bit with family, and then I was home cleaning the whole week. I get super nuts around like, I don't know, I think it's like the Cuban blood in me, but it's just like that I need to clean before New Year's. It's just the whole and this was like kind of before the pandemic too, but I guess like the pandemic really escalated the fact that like my room is my bedroom, like a gym sometimes, and my office. And there were so many things going on at the end of the year, and honestly for me, ever since I came back from Florida back in July and we started the podcast and all the things over the past 6 months, like I had a lot going on. I was just happy to be like, I can finally go through, clean my whole room. Like the area here is not a pile of stuff right now. It's just like a small pile of things that I'm like actively using. So it was nice to do that. I did see a few friends and did some things with them, and just really took it easy. And then I started work again yesterday. So I'm just like easing back into that. And then I wasn't at the studio last week, but I did come back, and this is actually a good segue. As we did last year as well, Elena does the dance fitness class. We had the first one on Monday night. So happy New Year. I love the whole New Year's resolution, New Year's goals, things like that, mostly as just like, this is a good marker of time to like refresh. I know that there's a lot of things, sometimes it just feels like such an arbitrary date. I'm into astrology. It's really not astrologically the best time to start making changes. It's Mercury retrograde. We were having technical glitches before. Some of you think I'm nuts, but whatever. The point is that I at least like kind of the mindset of like, all right, there's a new start, and I do want to, one of the things for 2023 for me is I do want to get in shape again. I think like people are like, oh, you're in shape, but not as much as I have been in the past, and I know that I could do a lot better with balancing. So I'm happy we have the dance fitness class, because I don't want to overdo it, and that is the one thing that I am doing in January is the dance fitness class to step it up, to be like something different than I did in December, because December I was obviously training for the skating show for quite a bit. So we did the dance fitness class. I am still sore. It is Wednesday. We did it Monday. I'm still sore. I mean, I'm not completely debilitated, but it's just like, am I going to recover enough before Monday when we have the class again? And it was a lot of just like cardio. Listen, if you're a part of the studio and you didn't check out the dance fitness class, I would highly recommend it. Don't hate me if you're sore, just be grateful that you pushed yourself to do it. So I did that. That is the one class that I am committing to for the month. But you also had then I know you had salsa, but we've done salsa for a bit. The special class that they did is the country 2-step. So how was that last night?
It was really fun, and I want to give a few thoughts on the fitness classes, because again, that's new again. And it's pretty cool, because it's almost like exactly to the year that we did the fitness class last year. Like we did the fitness class like January, February of last year. So that was really fun. And that's actually a cool little side note. And I told you this on Monday that I remember that after one of the fitness classes, and I only know this because I remember like it was right after we were kind of like we had cooled down from the fitness class, and I remember we still all had our like mats there and stuff like that. But I remember you were talking about the whole Shanae situation. And then was it Shanae? Yeah, it was the whole Shanae
It had to have been, because Clayton's season was airing, I guess.
Oh yeah, it was.
I think that's when I was like posting stuff on my Instagram, because I had you on Instagram, but I didn't really like, I didn't know you watched Bachelor, and I think I was talking about it on my Instagram story, and you messaged me and you're like, oh yeah, I watched too, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much fun to talk about.
And then
I think that's where you came up with the idea.
Exactly. And after that class, I remember we talked about the Shanae situation, or you were talking about it, and I'm like, oh, you watched too? I remember when we talked about that in person. And that really kind of like became closer friends, and we then kind of started talking about the idea of the podcast. So I just thought it was kind of funny that we had the same class this year, and here we are again, like a year later. It's crazy to me how that so many things have happened in the year.
Oh my gosh. I know.
But so that was really fun, and it's really a cool kind of fact about that. But I'm happy that Elena brought the fitness class back, and she even told me, because we had our private lesson after the salsa class, or was it salsa? Yeah, after this, on Monday. After the
I didn't stay
because salsa's usually Tuesday, so I get a little confused. But yeah, she was telling me that, oh, I noticed that you were way more like flexible in the cardio, and you were way more coordinated, and you weren't getting as winded or as like out of breath and stuff like that as last year. Because last year during the fitness class, I did some cardio here and there, but like after the pandemic, before the pandemic, I was a huge gym person, but then after the pandemic, I was like, I really didn't see the point of going to the gym. At least, like, I felt like I could do everything I wanted to do at the gym at home. And I was like, I don't want to be there around that many people, because every time I went to the gym at the time I was able to go to the gym, like 6 p.m. or later, it would be like 60 people in the gym, and it was just way too crowded for me. So I was just like, let me just do this at home. But so then when Elena's fitness class came along last year, I hadn't done as much cardio at home as I would want to. And so it took me a little bit of time to kind of get used to doing that every week and stuff like that. So I would get a little bit more tired during like, there was sometimes I was like so out of it after the class, even though it was only a 45-minute class. But after this class in this week, I didn't feel tired at all. I felt actually very energized. Like, I was sweaty.
She did say she eased us in.
She did say she eased us in. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I remember the further weeks of the class last year. It was a little bit more intense. So I wouldn't doubt it's going to be the same thing this year. But I'm glad you brought that back, because it's definitely like it's a different class than we've done, or that we usually do. Because like we've talked about with us doing the contemporary and the hip hop class, it's a little bit different than our typical ballroom classes, because like 95% of the classes are ballroom classes at our studio. So again, it's nice when they throw in a little like a different class. That's a pretty cool thing. I'm really glad that she brought that back, and I'm excited again. Like I said, that's the thing I'm committing to this month for like working out, like besides dance. So that will be really fun, and I'm glad that she brought that back. And so I'm really happy that was a lot of fun. And then so going to yesterday, the country two-step class was really fun. I remember, didn't you do a round or a few rounds of that in a competition?
Yeah, we did the September 2021 because I remember I was telling you I think we talked about it a few episodes back, but I know it was like, I think we're just talking about it. It was like after the pandemic, it was like the first big competition that we had in New Jersey, New York area. Like the first one we had, we came up with this joke. We're like, why don't we do like the country two-step? Because Texas and Vegas, everybody does it, and like none of the Northeast people do it, and that's why they get so many points, because they do all these extra rounds in the social dances. So we were like, we're gonna come up with it, and like David like put in this thing that was like, one of the guys from Texas like had this step in one of their formation dances or something, so David like put it into our dance like as a joke. Like it's like not even like a legal step. I don't know if he taught you guys this, but we had a bunch of us do it. So that's why I'm like, I've done the country two step. It's not so how was the class?
So the class was really fun.
I heard good feedback from folks.
Yeah, it was really fun. So we did line dancing for like the first hour of the class, and we just kind of danced the same routine to the same song I forgot the song, but it was a really catchy song. And we
Yeah.
kind of did it like how line dancing actually is like the first 20 minutes we did it just kind of facing the mirror. And then the last 10 minutes of just doing the line dance, we did like how like a traditional line dance would be, is where we like rotate around the room every time
Yeah.
the beginning of the dance comes around. So we did that like for 5 minutes. And then Elena joined in at the end of the class because David wanted her to join in, and she just kind of learned it on the fly. And so that was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
And so that was cool. And then the last 10 minutes of class, we all just kind of there were only 3 of us guys, so we all lined up on one side of the room, and then all the girls lined up on the other side of the room, and then we did the 2-step that you talked about, which is the quick, slow, and the turn in the middle.
Yeah.
And we did that, and we did that across the room a few times, and that was pretty much it. But it was really fun. It definitely, again, along with like the workout class and the hip hop and the contemporary, it's definitely like it's a specialty class, I guess you could call it. It's not as, because it's not like a typical class that we usually do, and you definitely feel that in the class, because we don't usually do the country 2-step either in group class, or unless you're actively working on it for some reason in your private lesson, which I know most of us most likely don't. It's definitely a new thing that for us to learn. So that was really fun, and I'm excited for it like in the coming weeks to see what else David comes up with, because I know it's gonna be a lot of fun.
They'll probably put it in the party now, like the next party we have. David will probably make sure.
Yeah, probably.
So yes, I know there's no classes today. Yeah, no. Tomorrow tomorrow there's bachata, which is just continuation of what we've done. I actually have a lesson during that time, so I'm not doing it. But then I know Argentine tango is coming back. So I am planning, as of now at least, unless anything changes in my schedule, I'm planning to stay for that tomorrow. Because I am going to be there for my lesson with David during the bachata class. But yeah, I told myself, I'm like, those will be the 2 that I pop in on. And then Friday we've been doing the Latin class that
fancy footwork,
that I can't, I'm still coaching on Fridays, so I can't go for that one. But
I'm excited for Argentine tango because it's been like 4 or 5 months, I think, since we've done a proper Argentine tango class. But
proper one. The last one was with the chair.
Was the chair class, which was also very fun. But the Argentine tango class, and that's crazy because I vividly remember the chair class, but that was like 5-6 months ago. So like it's crazy to me how like fast that time has gone by. But it'll be fun to do a proper Argentine tango class. It is a beginner Argentine tango class, so I'm assuming it'll be a lot of us who've done Argentine tango before. It'll just kind of be a refresh of stuff we've done, a lot of like just the basic steps and stuff like that in Argentine tango, but it's still a hard dance to do. So especially like leading, I think, because like you have to guide the girl, like again, whether it's the ochos or anything like that, or in the hook or anything like that. There's a lot of like different things you have to do to like lead the girl in dance. That's like, even if it's just like a few steps for the guys, it's not the easiest thing to do, just because there's a lot of details it's a lot of small movements too, but they're very detailed. So that's something I've noticed that it can be a little bit more difficult, but I'm excited for that class. That should be very fun.
I've never competed Argentine tango for social. I don't know. I don't know my full goals for the full year. I just feel like the next time I do compete social, I should probably add Argentine tango. I think that's kind of like a natural next step for me. It's not like the top of my goals, but whenever I do social again.
That would be one of my goals too. Whenever I
on the list,
but that should be fun.
Yeah, but we'll see. So I'm like, it's good for me to just like have it that way. I just remember the steps. But like, I mean, to your point, I think me following it is a lot easier than you guys having to lead it. So I'm kind of just like, I was like, I know I could probably follow most of what's happening, but I don't know what it's called. I don't know all these things. But
when you look at like the Argentine tangos in the on like Dancing with the Stars and stuff that are like you said, are more showcases, and they do all these like lifts and stuff, and like the legs wrap around like the other person's body and stuff, and it's like more intricate. So it's like Argentine tango can, like, even when you're not doing it, like even if you're doing it like a basic Argentine tango, it's difficult. But then if you do like advanced Argentine tango, it's really difficult. So it is a difficult dance.
I think the other thing too, and that actually just brought up one point before I go into our next thing for dance this week, but if any non-dancers are watching this, I think people are always like, my one friend I know was messaging me like, why can some of the dances have lifts and why can some of them not? Like when you're watching Dancing with the Stars, and I think we probably mentioned it in some of the episodes, but yeah, like Argentine tango is considered more of a social dance, so that's why you can do the lifts, whereas like standard and Latin and stuff like that you can't. So like a regular tango, the standard or smooth tango, you can't do a lift, but like Argentine tango, you can. And that's probably the main one. Like salsa, you can, but like not a quick step, not a, all these different things. So it's like, yeah, so clarity on that.
Yes.
So yeah, the only other real main thing, I know I forgot how much we talked about it on the last episode. In the past, I know the studios tried to come out with like a plan for the whole upcoming year so people could kind of plan accordingly. I mean, roughly speaking, they try to have an event every month. Where it is, what type it is, exact specifications. They pretty much try to have something every month or so. So they were originally trying to have like a showcase, more like a more local showcase in beginning of February. Our studio,
In Fort Lee.
Like Glen Rock and Fort Lee, they were gonna do one that's just like the New Jersey folks. It didn't really pan out, but it's fine. I did mention that I know you said the same thing. Both of us want to plan to do a showcase, and the first AODC competition that they're planning for is in March in New Jersey. We can do like, I think that's a good time for me to do my showcase. So it gives me an extra month.
Me too.
They wouldn't have had that extra month. Yeah, it gives us that extra time. So Eugene is going to who was in our third episode. He did make a guest appearance. He's planning to come on Friday to kind of just get people acquainted with the competition, the schedule, the cost, this, that, the other thing. So I'm going to meet with him briefly on Friday to just square that away. I have an idea of what I'm doing. I haven't even talked to all of them about it yet. I did send a message before we started the podcast. But by Friday, we're gonna have some things in motion, and Lane is going to choreograph for me. So, or for us rather. So I don't know how many details you wanted to give on your stuff.
Yeah. I can say
too much.
No, not too much. It's basically I've already kind of gave my idea for the beginning of the year, at least, because I had said it before. I have my big goal is whenever the big summer competition is for to do all my stuff for competing in multiple showcases and stuff like that. But that when that gets closer, I can talk more about it. But like I said, for the spring, I was planning on doing the February thing too. But again, I think it's a kind of a blessing that it didn't happen, just because it gives us an extra month to work on it. Because I'm just like, you know what, I just need that extra month, because we really would have probably had to learn it in like a month, like 1 month or 3-4 weeks if we were going to start in January. And so I definitely think it's a positive thing, or a really good thing that it's going to be in March. And did you hear about the theme?
No.
They just put it out. It's a really interesting one. It's like the one in Texas is going to be like Asia themed, and the one for us is going to be Indian themed, like a trip into India or whatever, or something like that. And that's really detailed theme, and really intricate, but that's really interesting. So I'm excited to see what that's like. So
my showcase has nothing to do with the theme, but I feel like at least at the AODC competition, it doesn't matter. If it was at the showcase.
Elena said the showcase. Mine doesn't either. She said it doesn't matter, which is fine.
Yeah, at a specific showcase event, you kind of want it to fit the theme more. So I'm kind of glad.
Competition is fine.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
So that should be fun. And Elena said she's gonna decorate the studio kind of with the theme next month, so that should be fun.
I'm excited for the food.
No, I am too. I'm excited.
It better match the theme.
It better match the theme. I know, and I think they said it would, so that'd be fun. But I know. But going
Pani Puri.
Oh yes, I know that they need to have all that food. It's gonna be great. But going back to my showcase, and I know I had mentioned it before, that my idea for my first showcase of the year was to do a hip hop cha-cha fusion, and I already have the song to it. Just because, like I had said, my first showcase and my most recent showcase in November was a very energetic showcase, and it was very upbeat the whole time, but it was very angry and very dramatic. And even though I had a happy ending, it was still very empowering, and there wasn't a lot of smiling in the showcase or anything like that. It was very dramatic and stuff like that, and that was the whole theme of it. And I just wanted my next one to be a very upbeat and happy and fun showcase where we're just having a good time and everything like that. And the styles of dance depicted that. So that's why I thought the cha-cha and hip hop one would work really well. And so that's what I'm planning on doing in March. And I have one, I think Elena said we're going to start working on it at the end of the month, which will be really exciting, like in the next 2-3 weeks. So that should be fine. And I'm really, really excited to work on that. Like you said, I'm happy we have another month to practice it, because like I said, if we're going to be like starting another thing with standard and stuff like that, I'm glad that we'll have an extra month to work on the showcase. And I'm really excited to see what we come up with. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I'm excited to see that. I did the hip hop one the one time. I'm excited to do contemporary. It's just, I think all my showcases have been like loud, angry, whatever. And I'm like, not all of them have been angry, but I want to do something slower.
So, yeah, I'm excited to see your contemporary too.
Yeah.
This should be fun.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Well, a lot to stay tuned to hear about us. But now I think we should throw it back. Let's start with one topic that I know you and I discussed. And I'll just preface this with the previous episodes for full detail.
Yes.
But we wanted to go through the Dancing with the Stars memorable dances from this past season.
Yes.
And the list is just so long. I know, and I know, so we kind of went through the list before, and Matthew has so many more than me. So I'm just going to, one of the ones that we both had on our list was Charlie and Mark's dance that they did about anxiety. I think for me, like, I was really trying to just think of the dances that I could remember unprompted. And even I know you had like a ton more listed, and all of them were amazing. So that was the one that it just really struck a chord with me, and I know you agreed with that one. So go ahead, list all of the other ones of Charlie and Mark's dances.
Okay, yeah. That definitely did strike a chord with me, and I did remember that one really, like, just at the top of my head because of how impactful it was, like you said. And the other one for Charlie and Mark was the week one cha-cha. I think just because of how impressive it was for a week one dance. So I really enjoyed that one. Their Bond night rumba that they did with like the whole story with Charlie poisoning him and Mark and stuff like that. So that was really cool. Their Simpsons jazz dance, which I think is on probably the top of everybody's list. It was so good. Especially since the song doesn't have a consistent beat to it, and the choreography was fantastic. I literally changed steps every second, so that was awesome. Their foxtrot that they did to Fever was awesome. And again, that was before we did our formation dance. I thought that was kind of ironic that version was used. And then their Viennese waltz that they did to the Glimpse of Us, I think was the song they danced to. I think that's what it was. But that was a that was amazing. The Viennese waltz was great. And then her Paso Doble, I think, was probably top 3 passos on the show for me. It was fantastic. So yeah, I think just because of how just classic Paso choreo was, but then also how strong she was with that choreo. So yeah, those are the ones I had for her for this season. And again, like we talked about on the finale episode, everybody's gonna be like, oh, she had dance experience, whatever. And yeah, it would have been fun to see Gabby win just because of our kind of bias with the Bachelor franchise, but there's no doubt that she didn't work for it. And so there's no doubt that she put so much work into it. And so it's not like she didn't work hard to get those results out of her dance. So she definitely deserved it. So I was very happy that those were the dances I thought were great. I remembered.
Oh yeah, the most memorable, the ones I know. The Simpsons was the other one that was like on my list because I couldn't forget that one. But yeah, the anxiety one I thought was just like so powerful.
Me too.
The next one I know we both had on our list was Shangela and Gleb's, or should I say Natasha's freestyle.
Natasha's, yeah, I'm about to say, yeah.
Oh, man, it was just amazing.
And we knew too. We knew.
Yeah.
Moment. It was
we just knew it.
Yeah.
We were like, it delivered. It definitely delivered. And then you had another one of their dances too.
Yes, which was the Halloween jazz routine that they did to, I think, I forgot the song they did it to. It was the Look What You Made Me Do remix or something like that. But it was the one where they were in the creepy doll costumes. And that was so good. The choreo was so good. Sangela's acting in it was so good. She really got in the character. Gleb's choreography was great. Yeah, everything about that dance was fantastic. It was so much fun. I know you said it was like no more creepy dolls, but
no more creepy dolls. Yeah, I was like, that's why I didn't think about that one again. I'm like, I tried to think of it like, would I want to go like randomly just like search this on YouTube and watch it again one day? And that's like what I was trying to use as my premise.
Mhm.
Um, so one of the next couples was Trevor and Emma's Roomba.
Yes.
That I know you and I agreed on that one.
Yes.
One that I really enjoyed, and I'll definitely probably want to look at it again because I think the movie's coming out soon, is that Trevor and Emma did the Barbie one.
Oh,
So
yes.
good. And the Barbie movie, I forgot when it's coming out, but I think it's coming out
I
soon.
think in the
Yeah.
summer.
And then you had one other one of theirs, which once you said it when we were reviewing before, I'm like, oh yeah, that one too. But I
Yeah.
forgot.
Yes. Yeah. Their rumba, like you said, was really good, especially since it was week 2. And
Yeah.
he did have a few off weeks before, I mean, after that. So it was nice to see. And this was the dance I think he rebounded with, was his contemporary.
Mm-hmm.
And his contemporary was so good. It was just so emotional and just so captivating. And that's why I thought and we talked about it when we reviewed it and recapped it, but his contemporary was another top one for me for him.
Mm-hmm. And then I know, maybe he wasn't everyone's like thinking he was like the top dancer in the competition, but Vinny and Coco, their dance that they did, I forgot the style they
The
did. The one
samba.
for
I think
the
it's samba.
for yeah, I think it was samba for Luca. It was just so good. I just
Yes.
remembered like that was just such a cool number that I know I'll look it up again at some
Yeah,
point.
me too. Exactly. Especially since it like fit the
Mhm.
characterization of Luca too. They really like bought in, or they really pushed it to make the choreography that story. And I think it made the dance even more fun.
Mhm. All right, so the next couple, the one that we both definitely agreed on was Daniel and Britt's jazz that they had done, where they did part of the dance with no sound just to
Yeah.
convey to people, or no music. I think they had like
Yeah.
the sound effects to convey what his experience is when he's dancing, and I thought it was just so impactful. That
Yeah.
really was my favorite one of his. And you had another one too with theirs, which I
Yes.
agree with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool going back to the jazz for a second, is that like, and I think it was obviously very just out of respect, like it was
Hmm.
the whole room was silent when the music went out. So like it really was like it gave you that impact of like, wow, like that's how
Hmm.
quiet it is. So that's why I thought it was awesome. And I like how like the music like faded back in, just like
Yeah.
very like kind of like slowly. So that was really cool. And then the second one I had was the contemporary. I thought that was
Hmm.
very, very impactful and emotional dance as well. And it was kind of talking about how, because Gabe was there, and
Hmm.
it was nice to see, because I remember they were talking about how like their relationship is and why how impactful Gabe is to them and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And so I thought that was a very impactful dance too. And that's why I really liked their contemporary as well.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was really good too.
Mhm.
Um, so then the next couple we were going through was Selma and Sasha. I loved the dance that she did, the Roomba, when she was blindfolded. I know
Yeah.
you also had that on your list.
Yeah.
I thought it was just so, it was cool from like a creative standpoint, but I think it was just also like from her situation just being overstimulated, it helps her be able to like focus more on the dancing. And I think, that's something that, oh gosh, I hope I'm not giving people ideas by saying this. It would probably be helpful. Elena, Elena, don't make me do this. Don't tell Yuri.
Like, hey, idea time.
Oh man, I'm regretting saying that. Anyway, but it's probably like really good because then, Selma had the opportunity to like really hone in on her dancing.
Yeah.
On that. So I thought it was just amazing. And
Yeah.
yeah, so you agreed with that, and then you had another one of theirs.
Yes, yes, yes.
Or
Yeah,
two of
that
theirs.
number was fantastic. And then I had the Muppets Disney Plus night quick stuff.
Good.
I thought that was so good, so cute. The costuming, the graphics, the whole stage setup, the choreo, everything about it was fantastic and just so fun to watch.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved that dance. And obviously this one wasn't for any kind of competition scores because this was when she officially pulled out of the competition in the middle of the competition, but their final waltz that she did one final dance, and that waltz that they did I thought was so great. And
Hmm.
I talked about this in the when we recapped it the week of that
Yeah.
episode, was I just thought it was so awesome that even though those scores didn't count, I thought it was awesome
Hmm.
that she got the perfect score. I thought it was just kind of like a perfect send off for her. And so I
Yeah.
was very happy that she did that.
Yeah, I remember even the dance that she did on the finale when they brought her back. That one was like amazing too.
Great.
I
Yay.
think she had some time to recover to really put some effort into that. So that one was also great.
Exactly. Yeah,
Again,
yeah,
like
yeah.
not for points or anything.
I agree.
Um, so the next couple, Gabby and Val,
Mhm.
I know that we both agreed on, like, if I had to pick my top dance, of course her cell block tango was amazing.
Yes.
That was just like her freestyle that I just loved.
Hmm.
And I know you agreed with that, and then you had a whole list of
A
theirs.
whole bunch of them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then so I had her Bond Night Rumba. I thought that
Hmm.
was really fun. Oh no, that was not. That I was thinking of Charlie Mark,
Oh
sorry.
no,
Yeah, and I was like, she
we're
didn't
on
do
the
it.
next one. We're on the
I
next
was like,
one.
hang on, I know. And again, even though this isn't it doesn't have the meaning, I guess, as it did
Hmm.
when they did this dance, because it was when she was still together with Eric. But that Viennese waltz that they did for Elvis Night to I Can't
Yeah.
Help Falling in Love was I love that dance so much. I thought
Hmm.
that was so just sweet, and the choreo was great. Their Bond Night Cha-Cha I really liked, even though we talked about how her like redemption Cha-Cha at the end of the season in the finale I thought was better, but I really liked her Bond Night Cha-Cha. I thought that was great.
Hmm.
Her Disney Night Quick Step when she was Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Costuming was great. I know when she talked about it,
Yeah.
it was like took 6 hours to get into that costume, so I thought that was like awesome, crazy. And then their tango, the tango that they did, I think it was like middle of the competition,
Hmm.
and that was the one where, and I know we talked about it, and I think this is where Carrie Ann was like, we've been asking you to kind of like dance a little bit outward more, and that's when you really saw her emotion come out, was
Hmm.
that tango. So that was amazing. And then the Argentine tango that she did with Alan on Halloween night, which again, spoiler alert, the probably people that we've talked about, is it seems like they're going to be doing it on the Dancing with the Stars
Hmm.
tour we're going to see, which is very exciting
Yeah.
because they've been posting about with that song, and so I'm very excited. They probably just thought, well, since Gabby and
Yeah, it makes
both on
sense.
the tour, might as well do it. And so I'm really excited to
Yeah.
see that because I love that routine. Their what's I think it was Michael Blue. Was it Michael Bublé night? No, it wasn't because he doesn't sing that song. Their samba to live in La Vida Loca. I forgot the
Oh, that was a 90s night.
yeah, 90s night. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That
I was
was one
like,
of the
wait, no,
best
that's
sambas.
not
Like,
his song.
no, I was like, that's not his songs. I was like, it's not Michael Bublé
I'd
night.
love to hear a cover of it though.
I think he'd be great
Bye.
at it. That'd be awesome. I'd love to hear that.
It's
But
not
that's
Ricky
their
Martin.
90s night samba was fantastic. I think it's one of my favorite sambas I've ever seen on the show. So it was awesome. And then the Paso Doble was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was awesome. Just alongside with Charlie's because it was on the
Hmm.
same night. And so yeah, those were the
Yeah.
dances I had for Gabby and Val.
Yes. And then last but not least, the final couple that I know we wanted to talk about. And this was the one dance I know we agreed on was for Wayne and Whitney, their Bond Night Tango. That
Yes.
was, yeah, I mean he had so many good dances. That one's the one that I do remember like specifically really liking. Um and then you had that one and many others.
Yes. And so I had his Hamilton Jazz, the one
Yeah.
he did, and it was cool because, like I said, he played.
Hmm.
I think he said it was. I think I forgot the character. I think he said it was Burr. I think
Aaron Burr. Yeah.
Aaron
I
Burr.
haven't seen
Yeah,
Hamilton. I think I just remembered him saying it that
yeah.
way.
I know the music. I just haven't
Yeah.
seen the show.
Yeah.
I really like to, but yeah. I think he said he played Aaron Burr, and that's in that song that he sings. Or the song that he danced to is the song that Aaron Burr sings in the musical.
Hmm.
And so he that was an amazing jazz routine. It was so intricate and
Yeah.
just so detailed, and the choreography by Whitney was amazing. I thought it was so good. Their samba was great. The one that they did to I forgot the song. Um I forgot that it was also
Look
on
it up on my
90s
notes.
night. It was also on 90s night. I know that. And I can
Oh,
sing.
was it the one that it was the Boys to Men?
No, that was the was that the I think they did the salsa to Boys to Men, but I could be wrong. You could look it up.
I'm looking it up right
Yeah, I
now.
guess because I know I can like kind of look it up too, and I'll just edit this out. But I just know that let's see.
Oh, they did a salsa on 90s night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
The
Um,
semifinals.
let's see, because I
No,
know.
he didn't. He did Paso Viennese waltz.
Yeah, yeah. The samba he did
Oh
was,
my
and now
gosh.
when I read the song, it was
Contemporary.
that it was like the It Takes Two, that like I forgot the week 5 was
Oh,
what
it was prom night.
prom night.
It
Yeah,
was, I don't remember the song, but it was the prom night episode. All right,
yeah,
so let me
yeah,
find that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think the and then the salsa on 90s Night was the Boys to Men. So
Hmm.
that was what I thought. So those two his salsa and his samba I really liked, especially since they kind of like added his personality into it. So that was amazing. I love that. And this is kind of a little like side note. This I didn't put this on my list, but even though
Hmm.
because it's technically a way different contemporary than it usually is, but their Halloween Night contemporary I really like too. Um,
Yeah.
and then their freestyle was fantastic. It was so good, and
Hmm.
I really have no
Hmm.
words about it. So those are the ones I had
Yeah.
for Wayne Whitney.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, last season was just amazing.
It
And
was
I think
amazing.
it really was, I think, one of the best seasons
Yes,
ever. Like I
yes,
think that's why I'm not even mad. We just have a ton of top dancers.
yes, yes.
Um so all right, yeah, so that's enough with last season. I know we wanted to go through, so of all time, Dancing
Mhm.
with the Stars memorable dances, and the number that I have compared to yours, because I just was like things that I just think about, and I guess like the memorable moments special that they did on Disney Plus like kind of jogged my memory of some of them.
Yeah,
Um so one that I know that I had on my list that you did not have on yours was the one that was the top one for the memorable moments was the Drew Lachey and Cheryl's Save a Horse,
yeah.
Ride a Cowboy. I mean,
It's
it's just
great.
like it's funny, and it's amazing. And that's what they really reiterated during that point was that it was kind of what put Dancing with the Stars on the map because it like made the news. And this is
Mhm,
before social media was anything
mhm,
close to what it was. So
mhm.
that was a big one. And I know you said like I mentioned that you're like, oh well, I didn't have it on my list, but
Yeah, because that was season 2, and I didn't
yeah,
start watching until season 4.
yeah,
But I obviously have seen the dance like on YouTube and stuff, so I know how
yeah.
iconic it is.
I remember. I think I remember when it happened. I was like, oh my gosh, I was young. Anyway,
Mhm.
um, okay, the other one that was like from an earlier season, which I forgot. Yeah, some of these I think I don't know if you were like watching it or you just watched the replays. So Helio Castroneves, and
Yeah, I
Julianne Hough
watched this in
did
person. I was really young, but I remember watching this. Yeah.
the Hey Pachuco with like
Mhm,
the yellow suit that he wore. That
mhm,
was so iconic. Like I think that was
mhm.
on that was in the special too. And
Yeah,
I know you
that
had
was
that on your
season
list.
5. Yeah, I saw it. That was the second season I watched in person. I probably was like, I think, like 7 years old, something like that. So I was really young, but yeah, I remember seeing that. And I put at the end of that, I was like, I'll always remember at the end where he kisses Julianne. I always
I
remember
forgot
that.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when we watched the memorable moments, I was like, oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I think they were single at the time, so it was fine.
Mhm, mhm, yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and then Julianne had like a huge run of like I think she was just winning back to back to back,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
why she's, you know,
So great.
um where she's at now. The other partner she had, Apollo Anton Ono,
Yes.
and I know you had another one you wanted to highlight, but another one that we both there was one and it was the samba, and I didn't even remember the song until I looked it up again, and it was I like to move it, but she was
Mhm,
wearing this leopard print dress and her
mhm.
hair was like
Yeah.
all on top of her head, and that's why I was like Apollo Antonio and Julianne Hough samba, and then I found it and I
Mhm.
watched the earlier today. That that was like
It
I'll
was
always
great.
remember
Me
that
too.
dance because of that dress.
Yes, me too.
And then you had the other one of theirs that you really liked.
Yes, yes. So this was actually a very this special dance to
Hmm.
me because this was the dance that like I thought as like Matthew as an 8-year-old or 7-year-old like knew that I wanted to become a ballroom dancer one day
Hmm.
or start learning ballroom dance one day. Just because this dance always stuck out in my mind, especially like the first time I
Yeah.
watched it was Apollo and Julianne's Paso Doble, and they were like in these black and yellow kind of like paso outfits.
Hmm.
And this was back when they did like the encores on the results show nights where I know they did it twice. Um and yeah, that dance was just super impactful to me because it got me into wanting to become a ballroom dancer. So that's why I think it's such a special dance to me. But even besides that, I just thought it was a great dance. And that dance was actually replicated. Also, was the Hey Pachuco one that Sean and Derek, I think, did that on the All-Star season. I think I could be wrong. I think they did.
I don't know. I have to go
I
back and
could be
look.
wrong. Or somebody did. I forgot who it
Yeah.
was. And then what's his name? Frankie Muniz and Whitney on that season when Frankie Muniz was on, because
Hmm.
they had like a round, or it was like kind of a classics night where each star or each couple recreated a
Yeah.
dance from the past, and that was the one they picked for them was
Oh,
Julian's Paso. So
okay.
they recreated that Paso, so
I
that
can
was cool to
remember that.
see. But yeah, that dance that they did there, Paso, I think that's one of the most memorable, impactful dances I've ever seen on the show, just because of the impact it had on me. So yeah, I really like that dance.
And then yeah, that I do remember that. Like once you had mentioned it, I do remember that dance.
Hmm.
One that for me is like forever, and it's more recent, was Iman
Yes,
Shumpert and Daniela's
yes.
contemporary that they did based on the horror film Us.
Hmm.
And it's specifically that lift when he is so tall and she is like moderately tall, and she's standing on him, and then she just falls. That I that is like one of the best things. I mean, even compared to like all the dances we just listed from this past season, like that is still like way up there with them,
Yes,
is Iman
yes.
and Daniela's dance. Um,
And they also did that thing where, like, in the middle of the dance, where he like spins her around the room,
oh yeah,
like just by her legs. I'm like, my gosh, it's crazy. Like, I can't believe it.
she has no fear. Like I,
I know she doesn't. And that choreography won an Emmy too, which was like
I
great,
think
and
yeah,
which
I
is
think
hands down deserved. So
yeah. Now before we go to your whole list of all the other dances that you liked, there were
yeah.
two that are also tied to Bachelor Nation that I want to make sure I specify. So Joe Amabile, also known as Grocery Store Joe, was
Yes.
on with Jenna a few seasons back, and they danced. Well, he danced to "I'm Too Sexy," um, and they had like it was obviously before the pandemic, so they had like more people from Bachelor Nation come to join and participate, and I did watch it again today. And so like Val danced with them as well, and
Hmm.
Jenna. And so did Nick Viall, Wells
Hmm.
Adams, Dean Unglert, and Eric Bigger, all from
Hmm.
Bachelor Nation. And it's just such a it's like such a
Yeah.
funny dance. And it was just like so cool because I love Wells
Hmm.
specifically so much, but I also love Nick and Dean and
Hmm.
Eric and all
Yeah,
of them.
yeah, yeah.
So it was so cool to see them out there. And I think I just remembered like Wells talking about like he's like I'm like the thinnest guy out of all the groups. Like they're all like built and whatever, but like
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
watched
Yeah,
them
yeah,
and like
yeah.
they did such a good job. Like it was at least entertaining to watch, even though I
Yeah.
think Dean was like looking and not knowing what he's doing at the one point, but
Hmm.
that's fine. Like I gave them credit for like going out there and doing it anyway.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah. So, and I know you like that one too. You had
I
that
love
one.
that one. Yeah.
Oh, and then the last one, which I know, and I was really happy it made it to the memorable moments from the episode. That like the special that they did was Caitlyn and Artem's Argentine Tango to Toxic. It's just like I was just so happy that she had that moment because that
Hmm.
was I think hands down her like strongest dance, and they
Hmm.
couldn't touch her on that one.
Yes.
Um, so yeah,
Yes.
those are all the ones
It's
that
so
like
good.
came to mind.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so anyway, so you had a ton of other dances because
Yes.
I know you went season by season and looked.
Yes, I did. The thing was is that I went season by season, and like 85% of these I remembered. I just had to go
Mhm.
like check them out again, or at least make sure I got the
Yeah,
season right. But it wasn't like I went and researched all of these. Like I hit like
yeah, yeah,
two
yeah.
thirds of it I remembered, and then the other third I
Hmm.
looked up. But I kind of want to do what you did, where I was like, oh, which ones could I remember? I just remembered so many because of how many
Yeah.
like seasons there have been. So again, it's going to be kind of like a little bit like we've been doing
Hmm.
the other ones. I probably can go through them in a few seconds, but I'll just do you want me to start listing them off?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
Okay.
done with all mine.
Okay. And so I kind of went season, like I said, I kind of went season by season, but some of them were around like they kind of like jump around a little bit. But the
Hmm.
first one I had was Nicole Scherzinger's and Derek Huff's Argentine Tango. And that one was one of like the best Argentine tangos I think I've ever seen, just because I remember just how just
Hmm.
aggression, how much aggression, how much passion and power it was in it. And I remember just thinking about it. I was like, I have to go back and watch it, and I did. And the choreography by Derek was also fantastic, which it always
Hmm.
is. So that was season 10. So if you don't remember that one, anybody definitely go back and watch it because it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, and then this was also kind of going back to Elio and Julianne, because we talked
Hmm.
about their quick step, but also their freestyle from that same season, I
Hmm.
thought was also great. Um, and I forgot what dance they did. Oh, it was that the um I forgot the name of it, but it was like that like 50s song. I got to go back and look it up, but I remember that was great. And then I know so many people talk about this, but this was actually on the special as well. Was
Hmm.
B and Max's Paso Doble.
Hmm.
That was great. I love that one. That one always just sticks out in my mind. I think that's probably another top paso from the show for me. And here's another dance that I remember that was just completely, I think I remember talking about this with my parents at this second we watched this, and this was like 2007, 8, so I was still very young, but I specifically remember the moment watching this that night of the premiere was Sabrina Bryan and Mark's Cha-Cha that they did. Was the I forgot that it was like don't you wish your girlfriend, that song.
Oh yeah,
that was just fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was also Mark's first season as a pro as well, so he just like so young. And I just think, like I said, I think that was hands down in the top 3, maybe even the top week 1 dances of all time, just because of how strong it was. And of course, since she was part of the Cheetah Girls and she had like that whole like she was known for being like a Disney star and she's done hip hop and stuff like that. Mark usually puts hip hop in the cha-chas if his partner has that experience. And I remember Len obviously not liking that part. And because I remember he was like, oh, there's that cha-cha part wasn't like, I didn't like that, whatever. But he liked the cha-cha. I remember that night I watched, like I said, it was just completely blown away. And so I thought that dance was fantastic. And then that was season 5. And then Melby's Pasta was also season 5. And then this was from season 6, was our Christy Yamaguchi and also Mark. They did a rumba to say what you need to say. I remember that one, and that one was really good. And also that jive, that they did a jive, and like they were like in these black and white outfits. I forgot the dance they did, but I remember it was like towards the finale, I believe. But they did that. I really liked that one. Do you remember that one?
I'm vaguely remembering that now, like something with that. Yeah, I mean, of course, I love Christy because
yeah, I know, me too.
There's like so many figure skaters that have been in the show too.
On the show, exactly.
Which I'll talk more about later.
And then this was the next one was also, this is just like you were saying, the run with that Julianne had, like Mark once he started on the show, all those like first few seasons that he was on, he kind of ran with the show again. And so this was Sean Johnson and Mark and their freestyle they did with like, they started out in like the white masks, and then they like kind of like tore off like whatever they had on, and they had like this like green and black like outfits on underneath it. That was great. And then they did a Lindy Hop that was in like these like workout outfits. I think I forgot which one it was, but they did that. So that was really cool. And I've always thought Sean was an amazing. It was actually a cool fun fact. Right after that season, I actually met her because she was doing like a college campus tour in the old college campus I was in, my old hometown. She went and visited, and she did like a speech about like her Olympics and gymnastics career and on Dancing with the Stars. I remember meeting her and I have a picture with her when I was like 8 years old.
Cool.
So that was pretty cool. And then so that was from season 8. And then this one was Evan and Anna's Paso Doble from season 10. And they did the Bring Me to Life by Evanescence, which is actually kind of gave me the idea to do an Evanescence song for my showcase. Even though I already had that idea, but then seeing that dance again, I remember that I was like, I definitely want to do an Evanescence showcase. And it was cool because
who Evan Lysacek's partner was. Sorry.
Oh, really?
Because I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, wait. I was like, Evan, you mean Evan Lysacek? Like,
yeah, Evan Lysacek. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, it's Evan Lysacek. Yeah. And Anna's and Anna hasn't been on the show in a while, but I always thought she was an amazing pro. And that choreography she did for that dance was so good. And he had like a solo moment during like the beginning of the dance. I thought that was really cool, and I love the theme of that dance. And then Amber Riley and Derek's freestyle from season 11 I thought was fantastic. I thought that was great. Because I just had so many like other dancers around. It was like a whole production. I absolutely loved it. This is kind of like, I feel like it's not as a popular name, but she was on season 14. Katherine Jenkins, she was like an opera singer, and she also was with Mark, and she did this jive that was like basically there was kind of like a casino where they had like this like poker table in the beginning, and it was like a really fast song. I forgot the name of it, but that jive that they did, I thought was fantastic. And then this is also season 14 with Roshan Fagan from Disney Channel and Chelsea Hightower. There were a lot of dances I liked of theirs that I could have put on, but they got voted off like midway through the competition. But they were like week 1 or 2. I remember them saying in the package was like, because obviously is like one of those Disney Channel stars because he was on Shake It
Mhm.
Up, as known as a dance show. It was the same show Zendaya was on,
Yeah.
and Bella Thorne. But he was a hip hop dancer, or at least he had that experience, and they had already kind of had the idea for their freestyle, but since
Mhm.
they were talking about that, but since they got voted off midway through, they were like, "Oh my gosh, we're so disappointed and everything." But then the show let them come back for the finale and do the freestyle that they
Uh,
wanted to do. And so that was really fun. And I said I was really happy that they brought them back to do the freestyle, even though that they were voted off because they really wanted to do the freestyle. So I thought that was really cool because the freestyle was really awesome and I really loved it.
I remember him. I'm looking up his face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and Chelsea's another pro I really really liked. She hasn't been on in a
Mhm.
while, but I really liked her. Um, and then and then this was season 14. This is also season 14 was Maria Menounos and Derek Salsa. And this was
Mhm.
the one the only reason I remember, not only reason, but one of the main reasons I remember this was they I forgot the song they did it to. It was that Ricky Martin song, The Cup of Life, I think was the song they danced to.
Mhm.
And they did this thing where like in the middle of the dance, Derek like leaned over and kissed Maria in the middle of the dance. And then they talked to Carrie Ann, and they were talking to judges, and Carrie Ann was like,
Mhm.
was not necessary. And then they told them that was the dance they wanted to see in the results show. And then Derek went to go kiss Julianne, not Julianne, Carrie Ann, and and then Maria went to go kiss Bruno. So
Mhm.
that was like a whole moment. That was like Carrie Ann didn't like the kiss, and then Derek went to go kiss Carrie Ann because she didn't like it. So it was like a whole thing, and she thought that was really funny. So that was one of my most memorable moments, just because of that dance or that part of the
Forgot
dance.
about that.
I know, me
Unfortunate.
too. Um, and then this was the All-Star season in season 15. It was I remember this dance specifically, and this is actually where I got the idea to do my final jump in my
Mhm.
showcase dance because Val did this. It was Kelly Monaco's and Val's Paso Doble they did on the
Mhm.
All-Star season. I thought that was one of the best, again, probably a top five paso in the entire history of the show for me. It was so good. Um,
Mhm.
they did this thing where they had like this whole like tape thing that was like the sides of the stage that they like kind of draped over and it went over them. Um,
Mhm.
and I just thought it was an amazing paso. And like I said, Val did a jump as the ending of the dance. Like I said, oh, I want to do that in my showcase.
Mhm.
That was kind of fun. And then um, this was also the All Star season. In season 15 was Sean and Derek's Mambo.
Mhm.
As Derek was wearing like they were wearing like pink, and I think Derek was wearing like a fedora that was like white or like tan or something like that,
Mhm.
beige. So I remember that, and I wish they'd bring the Mambo back on the show. They haven't done the Mambo in probably like 10 years, but I wish that they'd bring it back because I really like that dance, watching that
Yeah.
dance. And then this was also this is season 16 was
Mhm.
Zendaya and Val, which I just thought all her dances were fantastic
Yeah.
and she was so good, especially since she was 16 at the time. That was just so crazy
Mhm.
for me to even like think about. Um, and she did a samba in the finale, and they were like, because I know I think she did like a Beyonce samba in like week three,
Mhm.
and they that was like they did a judge's choices pick,
Mhm.
and they said, "Oh, let's do the samba again," because they wanted her to have a little bit more kind of like technique in the samba. And they picked an actual samba song or a Latin song to do that.
Mhm.
I thought that was one of the best sambas. If anybody go look back at their like, I think it was like week 11, week 10 samba
Mhm.
for Zendaya and Val. It's so good. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. Like I said, I think it's one of the best samba choreos I've seen in the history of the show.
Mhm.
Val did amazing on that. Um, and then Zendaya also the next one is also Zendaya and Val. They did their hip hop dance
Mhm.
because and they were like sitting on a bench. They had like a bus stop like on the stage,
Right.
something like
Yeah.
that. And obviously she was on the same show as Roshan, and so she had hip hop experience as well. So she wanted to showcase that. So that
Mhm.
was also really fun. Um, this is season 18, which was Meryl and Max's tango. I think
Mhm.
that was one of the best tangos in the history of the
Yeah.
show as well. I just absolutely thought I was blown away when I saw it the first time, and I was absolutely again blown away when I rewatched it.
Yeah.
I thought Meryl was amazing, and I'm glad she won.
Yeah.
Um,
Meryl's like amazing. I mean, her and Charlie, like they were just so
yeah,
perfect when they when they like skated. It's just like it was no surprise that
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And then this is season 19. And this was actually, I think this was one of my top seasons in terms of, because it was the same thing. Like I said, this season, any of the top four could have won from this season, or from this past season. And then this is season 19, which was, I felt, could be the one that anybody of the top four could have won as well. Because it was Janelle Parrish from Pretty Little Liars, Bethany Moda, Alfonso, and Sadie Robinson, and I felt like any four of those could have won. So this is the next few of these are that season. So Bethany and Derek Bethany, her partner was Derek, but they, during the switch up week, she was with Mark, and she did this cha-cha hip hop. And Sasha was like, they had like this bar. They were like in like a club, and Sasha was like the bartender, like kind of serving drinks. And they had Sadie and Derek sitting across from them because that was their respective partners. And I just thought that hip hop, I will always remember that hip hop routine. It was just really fun. They did it to an Usher song, and that was really fun. So if anybody doesn't remember that, go back and watch it. It was really fun. And then Bethany also did this is when she was with Derek, who was her partner for the season. They did a jazz routine to Singing in the Rain, with they had like the Sing in the Rain outfits on, and they had like the umbrellas, and they were like doing stuff with that. That was one of the most creative dances I've ever seen on the show. That was amazing. And then Bethany also did rumba. It was kind of like the similar thing with Charlie's contemporary this year, because Bethany had talked about how she'd been bullied a lot in school. And just growing up, and she did this thing where she like wrote like kind of like positive messages about herself, and it was supposed to be like an empowerment self-love dance. And I think they did it to like the Kobe Calais, I think it was like To Try, I think it was, and I think she was there, and I'll never forget that dance because of the story and how memorable it was. And so I thought that dance was great. And Janelle and Val, they did a rumba, and I think it was talking about I think her growing up in Hawaii, and then she moved to the US without really kind of like anything, or at least like sacrificed a lot to be to move to California for her to be in the show in Hollywood and stuff like that. And I was like a rumba about that. They did I remember this because they had such a hard time like clearing the song. I remember because I remember it was in the package, but they did Jazz to West Side Story, and I really really liked that one too, because they were like, they said you can't use the choreography from the movie, but you can use the song. I think that was what I remember about the thing, but I really liked that. And then they did this they did a samba, which is to that Celia Cruz Carnival song, which is usually we dance salsa to it, but that's why I remember, was like, oh, you can just dance salsa to that song. And I remember she did that dance twice because Julianne wanted to see more like passion out of it. So I remember in the second time when she danced it, it was like really passionate. You could see it in their faces, which I thought was awesome. And then the last one with Janelle was when her and Artem did the burlesque routine during the switch up week. A few other dancers, I think maybe Jenna and Sharna, I think were the two, I mean, or Lindsay. They were like dancing burlesque, and I remember Val was like so jealous because obviously burlesque is very like intimate, and they like showed him after the dance, and you could see he was like, no, it was so funny. So that dance was great. The Alfonso and Whitney and Lindsay's trio Paso Doble that they did, I remember they did on the tour. I remember seeing that tour. That dance on the tour, that was great. Alfonso and Whitney, obviously their Carlton dance, that just speaks for itself.
That was the other one too. That I was like, I should have just had that on my list, but I was like,
obviously,
no, I don't want to pick too many.
I know, and again, people are gonna be like, man, this list is long, but it's like the shows have been on a long time, so there's a lot to pick from. But that dance obviously speaks for itself, and it's perfect. It is great. And then Riker and Allison, they did this the Pirates of the Caribbean Paso Doble. I thought that was really one of the best dances I think I've ever seen on the show too. It was just so creative. They had all the props, and he dressed up as Jack Sparrow and all that. I thought that was awesome. And then Riker and Allison and also Julianne, they did a tango, and they were like in a circle, like on the stage, and that dance was great as well. Rumor and Val's freestyle from season 20. These were all from season 22. or season 20 also, when Rumor and Val's freestyle. I thought that was great. I thought Rumor was an amazing contestant. So I really
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah, I remember she was really good.
Yeah. Carlos Penavega from Big Time Rush and Whitney, when he did that like Magic Mike rumba to Pony, that with all the guys on the chair.
I just remember he did it. I don't remember what it looked like, but I remember that happening now.
Yeah, he did that, and then the whole thing about that routine is that he like all the guys ripped their shirts off, but his shirt wouldn't come off, so like it stayed around his waist the rest of the dance, and everybody was commenting on that, and so like all the other guys' shirts came off, and then his was just on his waist, and he had to like dance with it ripped, and it was like, oh man,
Yeah.
but I remember that dance was, and I'm like, that's not a rumba song, so I'm like, that's a really creative job by Whitney to do a rumba to that song.
Yeah.
But that was great. And then season 21, Bindi and Derek. I thought all her dances were great.
Yeah, she was really good.
She was really good, and she did a contemporary that was like kind of paying tribute to her dad. And I thought that was really emotional and very awesome. And then she did a quick step as a redemption dance. A lot of the male pros were like participating in it as well. And that just dance was so great. I think it was one of the best quick steps I've ever seen. And then season 22, Paige and Mark from UFC, Paige Van Zandt. She did a paso doble. And the reason I remember this is because they were like in this octagon, and they were kind of doing like, it was almost like they were fighting like in a UFC ring. They did a paso to it, and that was awesome. And this is one of my mom's favorite dances. Is they also Paige and Mark. They did a jazz to the Austin Powers theme, and they dressed up the Austin Powers like outfits and stuff like that. So that was really fun. And we've talked about this before. Also season 22 with Niall and Peta, the Argentine tango, where he's blindfolded. So it's just kind of again like with Selma, that kind of thing. That takes away his sense. He was just like Daniel, where he was deaf, but they wanted to kind of show like what he could do with like not being able to see or hear. So I really love that dance. And then on season 23, James Hinchcliffe. I don't know if you remember him, but he was the race car IndyCar driver.
Yes, he did one really good dance that I remembered. Was it a quick step?
Yes, the quick step. The one that was the Cirque du Soleil. The Cirque du Soleil one. I think it was like I think it was like a Cirque du Soleil night or something like that, and they had like a Hollywood. It was like the cinema Cirque du Soleil show. Yeah. He was like in the red top hat and the red outfit. I think that's one you said because that's one I had.
I just remembered. Yeah, I remember him for that. Like I remember there's one that was really good. That was a quick step.
Yeah, and then he also did a this was James and Jenna, because James or Sharna got injured halfway through that season, and Jenna came and danced with him a few times, and they did this Joker inspired Viennese waltz to You Don't Own Me. I remember you talked about you did your dance to that, and a different version, and they did that where Jenna was Harley Quinn and James was Joker, and I think that's one of the best dances I've ever seen on the show too. It was just so creative. I love that dance. And then and then when Shauna came back, they did a freestyle, and it was basically like a voiceover of him, because he had gotten in the IndyCar accident where I think he almost died because of it.
Almost died, yeah.
And he did his idea for the freestyle was to like kind of give an idea of what it was like him being in the hospital and then recovering. He had like a voiceover. It was like, I know that my sport has a risk. And he was like, and then everything just stops. And then it was just kind of like a heart like monitor kind of noise. And then it was just like a spotlight on them. And it was just basically kind of his story of his accident was their freestyle idea. I absolutely love that dance. Okay, so my next one, and I could have, again, this is James and China were the runner-up to these people, or to this couple. It was Lori Hernandez and Val. And I remember this dance specifically just because of how colorful it was and how just how detailed it was. But I could have picked any of her dances because all her dances were fantastic. But this was their Willy Wonka Viennese waltz to Pure Imagination. And I was like Willy Wonka, and she was like in this blue dress. And I remember they danced on the tour that following year. So I remember that too. I thought that was awesome. And then on season 24 now was even though he wasn't like the best technical dancer, I still really liked this. It was Nick and Peter's rumba. They did it to I think it was an acoustic version of Shape of You, and
Mm-hmm.
Britt Cherry, Britt Stewart, and Haley
Mm-hmm.
were all in the dance as well. And he basically wanted it to be like, because he had just finished being the Bachelor, so
Mm-hmm.
he wanted it to be like, he wanted to kind of talk about what it's like to be the Bachelor. So like all the three girls like were kind of like fighting for him, and then Peter took him
Yeah.
away, and so that was pretty cool. I really like that dance. And then even though this was a shame just because she went off, she got voted off really quickly or halfway through the competition, so she didn't really get to dance with Max a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was Heather. I said Heather and Alan because she danced with Alan these two dances, but her actual partner was Max. There she danced the tango to Toxic. I thought that was so good.
Wait, Heather Morris.
Heather Morris, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the thing, because like I watched Glee, and I think
Mhm.
Heather Morris, like herself, was actually a backup dancer for Britney Spears.
She was.
Because
That's what
when
I
they had her on Glee, I remember they just were saying that like she was just a background dancer, like that was it. And then they built out the character for her, and that's why
yeah.
they had like when they did the Britney Spears episode, like it was like perfect because she was
Yes.
so amazing. I mean, yeah, I mean, like watch the Britney Spears episode of Glee. Like at least like look up those performances because
Yeah,
Heather Morris is amazing. But
she's
like,
great.
yeah, I know. I remember she definitely got kicked off too soon
She
too.
did. She got.
Yeah.
I always talk about how week 6 is a curse because she got kicked off week 6, and Sabrina Bryan got kicked off week 6, voted
Yeah.
off week 6, both on her regular season and on the All Star season. So I'm like, week 6 is a curse week for anybody. So I'm just like, okay. And then Simone Biles and Sasha, they did a contemporary to Moana.
Mm.
I think the girl who sang that song, well, how far ago? She was there. I think she sang it in
Was
person.
it Alessia Cara or was it
Um,
the actress that
the
played
actress.
Moana?
I think it was the actress
Okay.
Moana.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's season 24 also,
Oh
and
my
then
gosh. Wait, sorry. You said about week 6 being cursed. I was like, wait, who got sent home on week 6 this week? And it was Joseph and Daniela.
oh, that's right. So it is. It is a cursed week. Everybody, it's like everybody that shouldn't get voted off on week 6 gets voted off on week 6. So it's like,
Jeez. All right. Anyway, go.
well, it's crazy.
Continue.
I don't even know. And then um, I have 3 for her is Normani and Val. I thought Normani from Fifth
Mm,
Harmony was fantastic. She did this rumba where she sang at the beginning because they danced to a Fifth Harmony song, and all the other
mm-hmm,
Fifth Harmony girls, like she sang the first 2 lines, and then the other Fifth Harmony girls sang while Normani
mm-hmm.
and Val danced. And then they also did an Argentine tango where I remember they were talking like speaking in Spanish, and they had like subtitles at the bottom of the screen during that, and I really liked that dance as well. And then they did a Paso Doble, I think it was probably Disney night, to Mulan, to I'll Make a Man Out
Mm-hmm.
of You, and Donny Osmond actually sang it in person, so that
Mm,
was really cool. um and then Victoria and Valve, this is season 25, and she's the one from ESPN who I think had that I think she had some kind of like health condition. I forgot specifically what it was. But they did her and Val did jazz routine to Steamboat Willie from
mm,
Disney,
mm-hmm,
and Val, they were like dressed up as Mickey and Minnie, and they was like all black and white.
mm-hmm.
I really like that one just because I thought it was really intricate and really detailed. I really like that
Yeah.
one. And talking about going back to Frankie Muniz and Whitney, this is also season 25. They did Pirates of the Caribbean Argentine Tango. It was a different song than what
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Ellison did, but they also dressed up in
Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean
That
attire.
too, yeah.
Oh, that one was really good. And then they did a Halloween night contemporary where
Mm-hmm.
like Whitney was like dreaming about something, and then like they had like a glass like for like of like a bedroom window, and like Frankie
Mm-hmm.
like a kind of like an evil spirit or like an evil presence coming towards her, and that's how the whole
Mm-hmm.
contemporary dance was. I love that dance. It's
Mm-hmm.
so good. And Whitney's contemporary routines are always so great. So
Mm-hmm.
she's one of the best contemporary choreographers I've ever seen on the show. So I think she's awesome. And then this was, let's see. Oh, and this was Lindsay Sterling and Mark. And this was season 25 also. And I thought it was really sweet because she was talking about how I forgot how long ago after the show or before the show this happened, but I think she said her dad was battling, I think it might have been ALS, or it was some kind of health condition. I don't even think he was that old either. But I remember she
Mm-hmm.
talked about how he had like he always like he had like a something he was known for was like a red balloon, and that was something that she really kind of like kind of that was like a memory she had of him.
Yeah.
And Mark made a Viennese waltz about the red balloon, and then he actually
Mm-hmm.
always talked about how he wore like a brown hat as well with a jacket,
Mm-hmm.
and so like Mark dressed like Lindsay's dad, and they did a
Mm.
waltz to kind of like a tribute to him because I think he had passed away either a little bit before the season or during
Yeah, yeah.
something like that. And I really loved that dance. I thought it was very just touching and very emotional,
Mm-hmm.
that dance. And they also did a Argentine tango. They were kind of like robots. They were like in silver,
Yeah.
black outfits. I really like that one. And then this is season 25 because
Mm-hmm.
Vince was the runner up, and this is a Jordan Fisher. Their samba, he and Lindsay samba. I really like
Mm-hmm.
that samba a lot. I
Yeah.
I think it was to me gente. I think it was.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I like that. That one was good. And then they also did another Moana dance. They did a foxtrot, same song, I think. Oh, it was To
Mm-hmm.
Your Welcome. I think it was To Your Welcome. And yeah, I know.
Love
And so
that song.
I know I love that song. And so I think they danced to that, and that was awesome. And then this is I stopped writing down the seasons, but this is like a little bit a few more seasons after this, and this is Milo Manheim from Disney Channel and Whitney.
Yeah, he was
It was
amazing.
amazing. I know that's the season that Bobby Bones won. I know there's a whole controversy about that, but I really wish that I think Milo either Milo or Alexis Ren, I feel like should have won that season, but that's just me.
Yeah.
And then so they did that New York City themed Charleston where they were coming out of the subway station and like they
Mm.
going over the turnstiles, and then they had like the whole city theme, and I think they did it
Mm-hmm.
in too. I love that dance. And then Milo, Whitney, and Riker did a trio salsa. They were all like in purple, I
Mm-hmm.
think. I really love that one. And then Milo and Whitney did another. They did like another version of Toxic. They did a contemporary. They were like in an insane asylum where they were like,
Mm-hmm.
in this box the whole time. I don't know if you remember that, but I thought that was really cool. They like were like in this small box, like as like kind of like a room, and that they did the whole dance in that.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. Again, he was amazing. I absolutely loved him. And then
Yeah.
this was the same season. Alexis and Alan. She did that Swan Lake ballet / Argentine tango to Swan Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And I really loved that dance. It actually didn't even get that high of scores. I actually checked it today. I think she got like 8s and 9s, but then I think she got a perfect score for it in the finale. I think they did it again.
Yeah.
But I love that dance. I thought it was really cool because she said she did ballet when she was young, but
Mm-hmm.
she didn't hadn't done the ballet in a while. So that was her first time doing ballet in a while. And I just thought it was so cool
Mm-hmm.
that they mixed Argentine tango with ballet and obviously danced to Swan Lake, which is
Yeah.
a really big ballet piece. So that was really cool to do. And then they also danced a Argentine tango to I think it was Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas.
Mm.
And so I like that
Did
one.
tango to that?
Was it Argentine tango? I could
I
be
don't.
no,
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 I mean, I don't know. Maybe they did.
no, I know. I don't think it. No, I don't think it was Argentine tango. I might have just like maybe copied it. It might have been. I don't know if it was. No, let me check this out because I was like, I know it's Argentine tango, but I don't know. Poca.
But it's just like, wait,
Okay,
that was. Did
that
they?
is not a Argentine tango song. So I was like, I don't know what the heck that is or what dance it is. But I was like, let's see, a Disney night. Yeah, Foxtrot. I probably was thinking Foxtrot, and then
That still feels.
yeah, it
I.
still feels weird, but
It
it
still
fits
feels
better
weird,
now.
but whatever.
Yeah. And so they did the Argentine tango to that. Or no,
Mm-hmm.
Argentine tango, Foxtrot. I think I was thinking probably Argentine tango, and I wrote Argentine tango when I was meaning the right Foxtrot. So it was a Foxtrot. And then again, another person getting voted off
Mm-hmm.
was Juan Pablo and Cheryl. They did
Yeah.
a Beauty and the Beast dance, a Viennese Waltz to Gaston. And
Mm-hmm.
they had like all the guy pros up there on the table and stuff like that. I really like
Yeah.
that. And then James Vanderbeek. I know it was a really sad situation when he got voted off. But because I think his wife had a miscarriage, I think during the show. I think that's why they was like, because I think he got voted off, and
Oh, I think I remember that.
I think that happened, and people were like, at least he's
Mm.
gonna be with his wife now. Because I think it happened the week before or 2 weeks before, something like that. Because I remember
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks into the competition, they were talking about, oh, I'm having another baby and stuff like that. We're expecting
Mm-hmm.
anything. And then that had happened. But he and Emma Samba, I remember they had
Mm-hmm.
like rainbow colored lights, and he was also wearing like a pink. They were wearing pink, and I really liked that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then this was Hannah and Alan's. I could have picked any of her dances, but I felt like she got stronger as the competition went on. I remember her quick step to American Girl, I think was the one of the best. Yeah. I think that was like the kind of like, I think that was like the stepping, or I think that was like the turning point for her in the competition. I remember like Carrie Ann was wanting more out of her, and I think if she was kind of beating herself up over it. But then I think that was a dance that really solidified her in the competition. So I like that. And then Allie, also from Fifth Harmony, and Sasha, they did a Charleston. I think they were. I really like that one. And then Kel and Whitney did they did the jazz routine, so we're all in this together from High School Musical. They did that one. That. I really like that. Especially since they had like all the troupe and other pros like doing stuff, and there was like a whole production. So I really like that. Just like we already talked about this, I'll just kind of skip over it, but the Caitlin and Artem Argentine Tango the Toxics, that one was great. And then Suni Lee and Alan, I think her best dance was her salsa that they did on Janet Jackson night. I really like that one. We already talked about Iman and Daniela's contemporary dance. I would obviously great. Also their freestyle that they did on this past tour. I remember seeing videos of it. I really like that one. And then the last two I have are JoJo and Jenna. The one they did a Cinderella Viennese Waltz, where Jenna was Cinderella and JoJo was Prince Charming. They dressed as that. And I thought it was just an amazing dance. And then they also did I think it was to like I Am Sandra Dee from Greece. They did the Foxtrot. And I really, really love that dance as well. Again, I could have probably picked any of the ones from JoJo and Jenna, but those were the two I really like. So that's all I have from all time. But I know it was a lot, but those were the dances I
forgot someone that I just remembered.
Who?
Neve and Jenna. Like half of their dances were amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was like if Caitlin didn't win, I would have wanted Neve to win. But
I would have wanted Neve
to win. Oh my gosh, she didn't mention Neve.
I know. I was thinking about it. I was like, I already have so many people, but yeah, I was like, Neve's definitely. All of their dances were great.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I know they did. I think they did a Swan Lake thing too. I just was.
Oh yeah, they did do a Swan. I think it was like a Paso.
He was amazing.
I could be wrong. I forgot
what it was. It was just amazing for all of his dances. So if anyone's bored, you have plenty.
If anyone's bored, to
look at on YouTube.
Yes,
That's your whole list.
That's my whole list. Yes.
Okay. That was all the dances. Now we're going to go to Dancing with the Stars memorable moments, and I know you still have a list, but it's different. I don't think it's as long as that.
It's not as long. It's like instead of like every season, it's probably like I think it's like 5 to 10.
Yeah. So we actually the list that we came up with together of like just memorable moments, and these were like not dance specific. So the season 1, which like I watched it live, you watched it on replay, was Kelly Monaco's wardrobe malfunction. That was like the first thing. I don't remember exactly what happened. I think her strap just came undone like on the dress, which it is what it is. It happens. But yeah, like that was just like, oh my gosh, season 1, big deal. So you won't forget that. Yeah, and I remember you said you like looked that up online years later.
Yeah.
And then the next one, which it was really funny because my mom didn't remember this one, was the mango.
Yeah, the mango. I know.
So I had to look it up because I didn't remember the names of who.
I didn't know who was in it. Yeah.
So Steve Guttenberg, who is an actor, and this is like early season.
Early. Yeah, I think it was like 2008, 2007.
Probably, yeah. And then Jonathan Roberts was the pro. I think Steve Guttenberg was partnered with Anna, and then Anna got sick that week or something. So Jonathan came in to help Steve with his tango. So they saw that like they had the footage of them in practice, and they're like, "Oh, this is gonna be so funny," and like have them do they called it the mango.
Male tango.
So that's why I always, and then that's just like worth a watch on YouTube. I mean, it's just like, it was just funny because it's mostly they did it as like just like a joke performance. It wasn't for scores. It was just like they really like played up the drama with the rose and the shaking and the whatever and all this. It's that's why I always laugh because there's a Snapple drink. I think it takes 2 to mango. It's like a mango. I don't know. I think it's Mango Madness, but it says it takes 2 to mango, and I always think of this dance.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, had you watched that live?
Yeah, I did watch it live. I remembered it. Again, I just didn't remember who was in it, but I do remember it. I was like, because I remember I had started watching like 2 or 3 seasons before, but that was so funny.
okay, the whole season of Dancing with the Stars Juniors, just
Yes.
the whole season of it was
Season.
amazing. And I really like, so they had the younger kids and they basically had siblings of some of the pros. Um, Basically what they had is like they had a child star with a child pro, and then they had one of the pros from the show
Kind of
be
coaching
their
them.
mentor. So that was actually when Brandon Armstrong, like he wasn't a pro yet. He actually like I think he was on the troop, but I remembered he was a mentor, and he that was like when I started to like learn more of who he was. Like I know Alan was one of the mentors and all that, and there were some really good dances from that
There really
group
were.
of
Yeah.
kids. And there's the Rolex dance that Ariana Greenblatt did.
Mhm.
That is worth watching.
It is. It's so good.
And Miles, I think it's Miles Brown. He
Yeah,
did one
that's how
with Lindsay
Lindsay's
Arnold's sister
sister,
Riley.
Riley. Yeah.
They did like their holiday, the whatever one that they did that was like the holiday song.
Mhm.
It was so good.
It was
It's
so
these
good.
kids were so talented,
They
and
really.
I really enjoyed like just watching the kids do it because I'm like, they're young actors and
Mhm.
actresses, and like they could incorporate this into their career. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, obviously the older people can too, but like especially the young ones.
Mhm.
Um, so
And
anyway,
I remember that season was awesome. I really wish they didn't cancel after one season, but another
yeah,
person who was on it, but I kind of get it, but like another person on there was Mackenzie Ziegler, and she was
yes,
with Sage, who's very popular like on
yes.
TikTok and stuff like that now. And Gleb was their coach and mentor. And I think she's continuing the dance ballroom. I think even after the show, because I've seen her dance ballroom a
Yeah.
lot now. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, like you said, everybody on the show was awesome. So that was really fun.
Yeah, it's just like the clips were, and there was I think they had the pros dance with like the older pros dance with
Yeah.
them. I think
Mhm.
for that the Rolex song that they had Brandon dance with them too, I
Yeah.
think later on. But it was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I know like Alan is still friends with Sky Brown. She's
Mhm.
a snowboarder and oh my gosh, and a skateboarder. And I think she was in one of the last Olympics, like for Great Britain, maybe or
Mhm.
something. And like Alan's still friends with her, so that was really cool.
Mhm.
Um, anyway, yeah. So all of Dancing with the Stars Juniors.
Yes.
Okay. So then, and of course, like based on the last season, I don't think we can ever forget the Alfonso, Val, and Gabby thing. Like
Yes.
after the scores, making Alfonso rub his face on Val's chest. I think that
Yes.
just like that
It's gonna
whole
be great. Yeah.
we'll never forget. And the last one that I had that like it and I know you had it too, was like they did the athlete season of Dancing with the Stars,
Yes.
and Adam Rippon won that season with Jenna. And I think I had met, well, two reasons. I had met Jenna after that season. That was the first
Mhm.
time I ever met Jenna at like a Dance With Me event. And I was like, I was so happy when you guys won because, Adam is a skater. He did used to train at my rink. And around the time when I was like 16, 17, he was there regularly. And I, listen, if you went up to Adam right now and you asked him, do you know Camille? Like, he probably wouldn't remember me by my name, but I think you know, I would sit with him sometimes, like getting skates on. Like there was a group of people sitting together. Like I'm sure he would remember, like if he saw
Mhm.
the name and the face and whatever, and like pieced it all together. It's been a long time. Obviously, it was a long time ago. It was like 20. No, not even 20. It was like 2008. That was like around the time he was training with us in Hackensack. But I just said to Jenna, like I was just so happy for him because I just remembered he was such a hard worker. He was so dedicated. He was so
Mhm.
focused, like on the ice. And I wasn't always on the same ice as him. Like he was on the elite sessions, but
Mhm.
just talking to him and hearing him, and like I would watch him practice sometimes, and I was just so happy to see him win Dancing with the Stars. So like
Mhm.
when I met Jenna, I was like, oh my gosh, like I knew him, like I trained
Yeah.
with him, and it
That's
was so
amazing.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's like that was a cool moment for me. I was
Mhm.
really happy.
Yeah. I'm glad he won. He definitely deserved
Yeah,
it.
yeah, he deserved it too.
Mhm.
And and I think it was right after the Olympics, and like he had
Mhm.
wanted so much to go to the Olympics, and the
Mhm.
way that the scoring with figure skating has been in like more recent years, and it's just so competitive,
Mhm.
specifically for the guys, like with the quads and this, and just like really trying to get a balance of the technique and the like or
Mhm.
like the technical aspect and then the performance aspect. And like Adam was just always so spot on with the performance stuff.
Mhm.
um just like as is Jason Brown. We don't need to make this a skating podcast, but anyway,
Yeah, we can have
so
a
I
skating
know.
episode one time.
Well, I mean, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But because there's the whole thing with Evan Lysacek, and Blashenko, and I have all opinions on that and whatever. We don't need to get into it.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh my gosh, I keep disappearing into my background. Anyway, all right. So what other memorable moments did you have from all of the Dancing with the Stars seasons?
Yeah. So this one I just remember was really funny. I remember, I think it was during a results show, but it was on during the All-Star season when Chelsea Hightower was paired with Elio Castroneves. And it was funny because they were talking, I think Tom was saying something like, oh, hey, like here's a clip of Chelsea not knowing her geography or something like that, or world something like that. Or how much he knows about it, and Elio was kind of describing why, because he's Brazilian, and they were talking about how like why he speaks Portuguese, because she was like, why don't you speak Spanish and why do you speak Portuguese? And he was like, well, because Portugal or Brazil is like a colony of Portugal, and they're like kind of mixed, like that. And then he was like, it's kind of like why the rest of South America speaks Spanish, and then Chelsea was like, South America speaks Spanish, and she didn't know that, and so like that was funny. And so they made that a whole funny thing. So I thought that was funny. And then this is a little bit less lighthearted, but it was the whole Ryan Lochte situation that had happened. I just remember because I remember watching it live when it happened, and it was obviously right after the Olympics. And I remember it became like worldwide news the next morning, like on Good Morning America and Today Show and all that stuff. They were all talking about it. They had like these behind the scenes like clips of it from like a camera that wasn't on TV and stuff like that. And like when these like protesters rushed the stage when he was getting his scores and stuff like that. Because I remember Carrie Ann was, I think, kind of like to back him off too, I think. So I remember that was a crazy situation just because I've never seen anything like that on the show. And then basically just all of basically, okay, we had talked about week 6 being the cursed week. I basically said just Juan Pablo, Sabrina Bryan, Simone Biles, and Heather all being eliminated. That was just a memorable moment for me, just because of how like hands down it was way too early for all of them, because they were all great. But
it's okay for Juan.
It's okay. It's okay for Juan Pablo. I know it's okay. And then I saw all the moments when Carrie Ann falls out of her chair, or Bruno. Again, that happens at least once or twice every season, so those are funny. Obviously all of Sasha's pranks on Halloween this year's were great, and so like all those are awesome. And then I didn't even know this, and you said you didn't know this either. I just found out about it today because I was researching season 1. Like I said, I didn't start watching until season 4. So, but they said in season 1 there was so much controversy about Kelly Monaco winning, because I guess that the popular kind of like opinion was that Jenna Hurley should have won. And they said they apparently had some like one night dance off between the two, and they had like a live voting thing or whatever. I had never heard about this, and I don't think I've ever done it again. But apparently they won, and so he won that night or whatever. And so it was like he's like the dance off champion or whatever. There was like a YouTube clip of it, but I was like, that's so strange. That like they had like the official finale, and like a week later they had like a dance off between them two live, and then they had like a live voting thing, and then John won that one. So I was like, that's crazy to me. I didn't even know. I was like, that's an interesting thing that they did. I've never heard of that before. And then let's see.
Now we just hear him for the dog shows.
Yeah, just hearing for dog shows. Yeah, exactly.
When I hear his voice, I'm just like, it's time for.
It's time for. I know, and then he's actually another person.
Thanksgiving Day.
I know Thanksgiving Day. I know, and he's another person I actually met from the show too, because we were at the same restaurant of him in the city, or my family was, and he had been hosting Family Feud at the time, so I was like, oh, I like you. I'm really a big fan of you on Family Feud and stuff like that. And he signed a napkin. I remember. I think we still have it, so that was kind of funny. And then I was like 9 at the time. But and the last one was, I just remember watching this live too, and it was obviously scary in the moment, but I just think it was funny just at the end because of her reaction at the end, because she was like laughing at herself. But it was when Marie Osmond, I think she just danced a samba, and I think her partner was also Jonathan Roberts, I think too. And they had just danced a samba, and Len was giving them their comments, and she just fainted on the floor. And I just remember watching that because of like how shocking it was, because it was like obviously I don't think anything like that had ever happened. But then I think Tom came back on the air or something like that, and when they came back, she was like, the first words that she said when she opened her eyes was, "Oh crap," and then everybody laughed, and so I remember that, and so I was like, that's a crazy moment. But yeah, those are all the moments I had. Obviously, with 31 seasons and us watching, I've watched 20. What is that? 30. 28 of those 31
Yeah.
seasons. You watched all 31, so it's just like the fact that we do have a lot to talk about with all the seasons, because there's so much to talk about.
There's probably just so
There's
many
so much
jokes and
more.
stuff of like Tom Bergeron, like, because he's just hysterical, and
He's
like there were so
amazing.
many
Yeah,
things. Like, I think they got him out on the floor. I always wanted him to
they
get
did in
out on the
season
floor.
2. I remember him talking about it. Yeah.
I think I remember some. Yeah, I remember that. That's why like thought the mango was like with him, and then I don't know.
Mhm. And then I think he did like a Charlie Chaplin thing. I think he had like a hat on or something like that. I could be wrong. I think it was something like
I have
that.
to go look.
And
Oh
then, and the cool thing is that 2 of the co-hosts were actually stars on the show too, Aaron and Brooke.
yeah,
And
and
that was
now Alfonso, and then yeah,
Alfonso now.
and that's
So
why I always wish like Tyra had done the show before she
yeah.
was hosting.
Hmm.
I mean, I know you were saying there's like rumors that they might try to put Gabby in, and then maybe have Alfonso replace Tyra's spot, and then Gabby go up to the skybox.
Hmm.
I think they're probably gonna see how Gabby does on the tour, is my hunch, and
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with contracts and this and that, and
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, to be
Yeah.
determined. We have plenty of time until that's
Exactly.
on again, but in the spirit of the fact that The Bachelor is premiering in a few weeks, I think we should switch
Hmm.
off to the Bachelor memorable moments, which
Yes,
I know you have like a long list of
I
things,
do.
but it's
But
like,
again, I can go through this pretty quickly.
no, that's fine. That's fine. I had some that I remember. So I guess the two that I had down that you didn't remember or like didn't have. So Jillian Harris was the Bachelorette, and she was the first Bachelorette they had from Canada.
Sounds right. Yeah.
So she had this thing that and I think she said it when she was on The Bachelor, but I remember she like, I don't remember all the details. She had this whole theory about how you can deduce how a guy is based on what he puts on his hot dog. And I was like Googling it, and I think I looked it up on YouTube, and I think she like came on to like different like TV shows to like explain it all. So she went through this whole thing of like the mustard guy's the good guy and the ketchup guy's the thing, and then the relish, and then there's a sauerkraut and the whole and I'm like, I need to sit down and like really understand this. Like, I really just want to know. Um, but anyway, so yeah, you never saw
No,
that.
yeah. Because I didn't
I
start. Yeah.
and it's weird. That was like the one season that I think I was like so disgusted with the previous season that I was like, I'm done. I'm not watching it. And I didn't watch like the first 3 or 4 episodes of her like out of all the seasons. That is nothing against her. It was just, I think I was just so disgusted with the previous season. I was like, I'm not watching it. And it's not like way back, like now that you can go and like stream it the next day. It was like you watched it or you didn't. That was it.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch the first 3 or 4 episodes, and then my mom was like watching it. So then I was like, fine. So I watched the end, but I did watch the part when she talked about the hot dogs. So I do remember that, and I was like, this is fascinating. Anyway, then I don't remember what season he was from. There was the Waboom guy.
Oh, yeah.
There was a guy that just came in, and I think he just wanted to brand himself, and he was the Waboom guy, and he just kept screaming Waboom. And then on top of it, there was another guy that he knew, and they like, I think they were like on X on the beach or something. So that I don't know. There was some whole thing, and then they both like got voted out, or not voted out. They didn't get a rose for the first night, but they made a whole big deal about Waboom. So anyway, I think you did see that one. That was
I did see
more
that
recent.
one. Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
in the past few years,
Yeah.
or like comparatively.
Recently, yeah.
Another one that I just always go to when I'm immediately like, I'll never forget this, is so Chris Soules season. He was the farmer from Iowa, for those who don't watch the show.
Yeah.
There was this woman, Ashley S. And so they went on this date, and I think they did something with like, it was supposed to be like laser tag type thing with like
Oh, yeah.
like zombies or whatever, but I
Yeah.
don't know. She just like in her interview, she had the like the radar gun thing, and she was just like, I feel like I'm in the Mesa Verde. And I just like immediately, like, if I ever see Mesa Verde reference, I immediately say it in that voice. I cannot separate it. Yeah, you had watched that season.
I watched that, yeah.
Yeah. And then this was the other thing, which I think I forgot. Did you watch Bachelor Pad?
I did, yes.
okay, so
I was
Bachelor
very
Pad,
young, but yes, I did watch it.
yeah, Bachelor Pad was like way long ago. So
Mm.
like before Bachelor in Paradise, like people don't even
Paradise,
talk about
yeah.
Bachelor Pad anymore. So the whole premise of Bachelor Pad was the whole thing, it was more of a competition. Like Bachelor in Paradise, the goal is for love, you know.
Mm.
There's no money, whatever. The goal is love. It when you're in Bachelor Pad, it was like money and love. So
Mm.
you were fighting for this $250,000 prize at the end. And I think they only did like 3 seasons of it.
Yeah.
And so there was one season that, and I like researched it again today because I was like, I have to understand this information. I think what happened was like there was like two couples that like made it to the end, and then
Mhm.
people from the show, I guess, like voted for like which couple they thought was more deserving of the money. And so what they
Mhm.
do is they had to go to this thing where they went to a deliberation room, and the two partners, they would have to get like they'd go into the deliberation room and they have to pick, either they say keep or share.
Mhm.
So if they both said keep, the money gets split with the rest of the cast. If they both said share, they split the money. And if one said keep and the other said share, the one that said keep got the money.
Yeah.
So it was Nick and Rachel were their names. I have
Yeah. It's so long ago.
He said keep and she said share, and everybody was like flipping out. It was this huge controversy. And so the funny thing was, the other couple that from that season was the guy Chris Bukowski. And if
Oh yeah.
anybody's gotten into the Bachelor in Paradise like more recently, he was engaged to Katie Morton a few seasons ago, and
Oh
he's
yeah.
like, like old Bachelor
Mhm.
person. Meanwhile, like age wise, he still like generally fits in the age range, but he's just from
Mhm.
so long ago. So I remember Chris Bukowski Chris Bukowski has been on so many seasons of the show, but I think he
Mhm.
was there for like that thing. So I think I like remembered that when they brought it up one time.
Mhm.
And I just, yeah, I don't know. But like, what do you remember from that? I mean, because I guess you watched it when you were young.
Yeah. The whole thing. Oh my gosh. I don't even. Again, just pretty much just all that you said. Like you said, it was just like a crazy
Yeah.
thing, and then like nobody knew what was going on. Like I said, like it was such a long time ago, but I just remember like the whole like craziness of it. So
I think then the show, there was no more Bachelor Pad
yeah, there was
after
no more
that, which
Bachelor in
like
Paradise
fine.
after that. Like I said, I think Bachelor in Paradise, like I think it was like 2011, 12. It was like so long ago. So
Yeah.
maybe
No, that was yeah, I have to look it up. But it was
yeah.
just like, I don't know. I like,
I like the premise, but I kind of get why it's not around anymore.
yeah, like I like the games were funny, but
The games
like
are
it's,
fun. Yeah.
it's whatever. It's, I like Bachelor in Paradise better,
Yeah, me
honestly.
too. Again, it seems a little bit more genuine.
Um,
I like that.
yeah, the purposes is better.
A little more, yeah, a little bit more
Purpose.
practical.
Um, so another one, I believe it was like from Paradise, but they carried this whole thing, Claire talking to the raccoons. And it was
Oh,
mostly just Claire talking, and then the producers just like edited it with her talk, like the raccoons like looking like this. So I just always, that whole shtick was hilarious.
yeah.
Um, and then the other thing that I'm like going bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Jake
okay.
Pavelka was the Bachelor,
Oh
and Jake
yeah.
and Vienna split up, and they had like a special episode
Yeah.
of the show to have like a whole sit down interview with the two of them because they split up. And it was such a big thing. And then she actually went on to a season of Bachelor Pad, and then she was with this other guy, Casey, and then he had a tattoo and is like guard and protect your heart or something, and then they kept saying guard and protect your heart, guard and protect.
Hmm.
This was like the first time in Bachelor Nation that people got tattoos for each other. Anyway.
I remember that very well. I remember seeing that. Like I said, I wasn't watching. I don't think I watched. I hadn't started watching the franchise like weekly at that point, but I remember
Yeah.
seeing it like on like the specials and stuff, and it was crazy.
Yeah. And when in all fairness, when we came up with this list, we were like, let's try to keep it like the positive things, but we gotta throw
Yeah,
this in there.
we got to
It's
see
like,
that. Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Okay, one more recent one that I think is just gonna go down in history as one of the most hilarious things, as well as his reenactment of the Sally story.
Yes,
How
it was so
accurate
good.
it is or it isn't, I don't know, but the fact that he was just like wearing a wig and then dressing up as this whole thing, that's
Mhm.
it's
And
hilarious.
I love how they asked him. It was like, "Is that really true?" And he's like, "I don't know. Like, apparently it is." He's like I
Mm-hmm.
love how he's like always like he's just like assuring them that it's true. I just love that.
Oh gosh. And then the last one that I know you and I had together, and then before you go on the list of the rest of yours, so there were like the two main emotional intelligence conversations. One was during, oh my gosh, Ari's season
Hmm.
when it was between Corinne and Taylor.
Mhm.
And that was like a mess because she's like, I don't think you have emotional intelligence. And it was like, what? And then the next one was not, once it switched like Claire to Tayshia's season, but it was
Yeah.
like Tayshia's season by that point, when Bennett and Noah had a
Yeah.
conversation, and Bennett gave Noah the book like on emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
I also read that book, by the way,
Oh,
and I should tell you because my old manager, like old like first manager at my job, actually talked to me about it. And yeah, it's just like emotional intelligence. That term has like, I feel like, increased in searches because of The Bachelor.
mhm.
Both of those conversations extremely painful. Anywho's,
Mhm.
so yeah. Okay, so what were the other memorable moments you had from The Bachelor
Okay, yeah, yeah,
shows?
yeah. It's so funny because like we were talking about with Dance with the Stars, there's so many seasons. Like there's been so many seasons of the Bachelor franchise that we watched too, so it's like so
Mm-hmm.
hard to narrow it down. But like I said, I started watching like weekly or
Mm-hmm.
I started watching the Bachelor franchise, Emily Maynard season of the Bachelorette, which was the first season I watched. And so all those or most of them are like from that point, but some of them are maybe a little bit before if I like saw them on a special or something.
Mm-hmm.
The first one I had was, and I remember you kind of refreshed my memory with this when you posted it on your TikTok, but
Mm-hmm.
um the Right Reasons rap music video
Yeah.
they did with Soldier Boy on Desiree's season. It's just the funniest thing I've ever
Yeah.
seen. It's just so good. And I just love how like the guys are like really getting into the character with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so funny. And I love how they're like filming outside like a mansion or whatever, how they
Yeah.
make it official and everything. It's just one of the funny. If you've
Yeah.
not seen that, just type in Right Reasons music video on YouTube, it'll come up.
Yeah.
It's worth your viewing time. It's amazing. And then obviously this is somewhat recent, but it's Champagne Gate with Kelsey and Hannah Ann. It's like I just love the whole like stupidity of the whole thing, just because like I love how when Kelsey brought the thing over, you always knew it was the whole producer thing, but I just love
Mm-hmm.
how like they brought it over and then they had her like give me Hannah Ann in the ITM or whatever, and she's like, "I would never steal champagne." It was just like, why is this even a thing? Like, I don't
I
understand.
know, it was so
Like
ridiculous.
it was so stupid. I was just like, I
Well,
don't even.
then it was like shaken up, and then she got it in her nose, and that was the whole big thing.
No, I know. It was really funny because I think Jimmy Kimmel actually did like because he usually talks about The Bachelor
Mm,
during the season. And I
yeah.
remember he was talking about that in the monologue the night of that episode. He was like, one producer was off screen going like this with the champagne. And I was like, that's so accurate. Um, but that was just so stupid, but really fun.
Mm,
And then obviously Shrimp with Shanae, the whole thing that they did with that was so dumb. And I love on or not Paradise, but I love how they continued it on Paradise. But I love how like I think it was when they were in Houston right before the football day, but I could be wrong. But she was like, "Oh no, I think they might have still been at the mansion because they were cooking or something like that." And they're like, Who took my shrimp or whatever?" And they were all in the hot tub. And then she started fighting with them about it. That was a whole stupid thing, but I just thought that was really funny. That was
it was
before we
like,
ended up liking Shanae, but
well, it was like her and Genevieve were fighting about it. Then like later on, that was, well, now they're friends.
no,
So I'm
yeah,
just like,
fine. Yeah.
like, oh, was that it? No, you had more.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the next one, I don't thank you. And then the next one I had, like I said, it's one of the more genuine ones, just because, or a lighthearted one, because it's one of the only actually happy endings of the show. Whereas Sean
Mm-hmm.
and Catherine's proposal, I just always remember that when they were in Thailand. I just think it's just so
Mm-hmm.
sweet and just so, and her this reaction to it, even though she knew how it was going to happen or she
Mm-hmm.
expected it to happen, but she was just so surprised. And I'm just so happy that they're still together and they have a family and that they're one
Mm-hmm.
of the good happy endings out of this show. So in terms of together couples together,
Yeah.
so I was very happy about that. Um, and then the next one I had was Peter and Hannah Ann's windmill story when they talked about it at AFR, where like they talked about it, and it's just like I gotta kind of clarify. It was actually 4 times, and obviously everybody went crazy and stuff like that. And now every time we see a windmill on the show, everybody has to point that out.
Yeah.
And so that was funny. And then Jojo, next one I have was Jojo and Lauren and Ben, that whole thing of Ben's season where he told both of them he loved them, which I don't know. Like I felt again, I like them both and I like Ben. I just felt like it was a little oh man, it was just because he let
But how many times has it happened since then?
yeah, I
It was
know it's
mostly
always
just because
happened.
JoJo made a thing of it. And I'm like, I understand why she felt the way she felt, but I felt like everybody's like crucified him.
Yeah, I
We
know.
bring it up every season
We bring it
now,
up
but
every
like
season. It
everybody
always
just
happens.
crucified Ben.
And it happens every season now. So
I
again, it's
think
every season.
I forgot if they've spoken with JoJo and that she said like she understood later
Mhm.
on. I think. I don't
And when
know.
I was watching Ben's season, I personally thought that he would have been better with JoJo, but that was just me. Their kind of connection seemed
Yeah.
better to me.
Well, I
But
think she's better with Jordan than she would have
that
been with
she
him. But
totally is. But before we
yeah,
knew
yeah.
Jordan, she's totally better with Jordan, hands down. And
Mhm.
it obviously Ben is really happy in his marriage now too. So it's not like
Yeah.
they found their person, which I'm happy
Yeah.
about. But at the time, I
Yeah.
felt like JoJo had like their connection was, I guess, a little bit more, I don't know. It just felt better to me every
Yeah.
time I
Yeah.
saw them together.
Yeah.
And then so that was that way. And then I had the fence jump with Colton that they were like kind of like previewing the whole season. And they're like, when is it gonna finally happen? And then it happened, and it was like a whole hour of the episode that they did it. And then they were like chasing him down this like whatever this like
Yeah.
Portuguese like corridor where there was nothing around them. And apparently it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then they had to get Mike Fleiss on the phone. I heard Chris Harrison talk about this. Apparently they had to get like all these producers that were back in the US, like kind of conferencing, like a conference called in and everything like that. Because they were like, now show kind of has to be put on the side. We have to find this person that we're responsible for or whatever. And I was just like, the whole thing was crazy. And I love how he punched got the camera away. He was like, I'm out. And the whole Cassie thing was like crazy. I kind of felt like they were, I don't know.
In hindsight, I think that Colton was just dealing with a lot more
Yeah,
than
me too.
it's very, I mean, because like obviously since that season, he has, him and Cassie broke up, and there were like he was stalking her.
Yeah.
Like I think she actually had to get a restraining order because I think he was putting like a tracking device on her car. And I know he later then came out, and now he's engaged to a guy. So I think he was just probably deling with a lot, which
yeah.
heightened the whole emotion of everything. And like obviously that's not something we knew.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there was just a lot going on there.
I
mean,
think
and I think yeah, and I mean like I'm happy for him, obviously, that he has been able to come, to come to terms with who he is and be proud of that. I think I've definitely seen a change with him. Obviously everything that happened with Cassie after the fact, like the stalking stuff, that I don't like. That was not something.
Well, I think she might be engaged now too. I could be wrong. I thought she might be engaged.
I think I do. I feel like I'm so like
yeah.
Way that I'm listening to all the podcasts I'm behind on is so like sporadic. I can't keep track of the timeline. But I believe so.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I feel like I follow her on Instagram, and I think I see her posting with the guys.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming I think she's engaged. That's what I thought. If not engaged, at least she's dating somebody. I think
yeah. I mean, I'm glad they've all moved on. I think it was just like I think it just obviously gives more like context.
Which is fine.
Situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right, exactly. And then I just put the same thing with the whole breakup with Hannah G and Tasha. I really hated how that happened, but again, it was just, I guess it was how it was supposed to happen. But the nights of the fantasy suite, like
well, Hannah G's was like
Hannah G was the night of the fantasy suite, and then Tasha was during the day, I think. Yeah, because Hannah G.
Tasha had the overnight.
Yes, she did.
I don't even think he saw Hannah G.
Yeah, he did. Remember? Because she was I think she was writing in like some kind of journal, and then he knocked on the door.
Oh yeah, well no, but they never even had the date.
They never had the date. You're right.
It was like Katie breaking up with Justin.
Yes, it was like that.
Thing.
Yeah. There was no date, but he went to go tell her, like, as the date was supposed to happen. Apparently, like that kind of. And then he was like a producer and stuff like that. All that stuff. So that was crazy, and they both seem to be like kind of. They moved on to, which is like, glad that everybody's happy in that situation. And then next, like I had said, with all of Luke P's interactions with Hannah this season, I remember the one where was it Nick? I don't know if his name was Nick or something. It was when he tackled the guy in the rugby match in Scotland. I think I forgot. Was it Scotland or I forgot. I don't remember. I don't know his name. I can picture his face, but I don't know what's his name. I don't know.
Was it Cam?
Cam, I think was on that day, but I don't think there was another guy. He had like curly hair. I forgot his name.
I don't know.
but he like tackled him, and then it was like, oh my gosh, he like severely injured him or whatever. And then like Luke P, yeah, I want to
Oh,
like
it was
pick
another Luke.
another Luke.
Luke
Oh,
S.
okay, okay, yeah. And I remember the thing where like the when she like sent him home at the rose ceremony, and then he came
Hmm.
back, and then the guys were like, you better leave, and he was like, oh what? He's like, what are you gonna do about it? And they were like all confronting him when he's way bigger than them. I thought that was so funny, that whole thing. And then so yeah, all of Luke P was interesting, the whole thing, especially in the I just know that I just popped up in my head when I was
Hmm.
thinking this was during the, I think it was week 2 during like the poetry date or whatever it was, or some kind of speech here. They have to give some kind of performance or speech,
Hmm.
and he was like, Hannah, I know it's early, but I'm like genuinely and
That was a
sincerely
mess.
falling in love. That whole thing, I was just like, that whole thing was a mess. I hated that. I don't even know how she was supposed to react in that, but I was like, oh
It
gosh,
was so uncomfortable.
so uncomfortable. And then I said all of Jed's songs to Hannah whenever, like, every time she'd see Jed,
Hmm.
he would sing her a song. It's not like it was cute at first, but it kind
Yeah.
of got old after a while because they all sounded the same, and it was just like, okay, Jed with his guitar again. It's like he's gonna sing another song, and I'm surprised he didn't sing the dog food jingle that he
Oh,
told
yeah.
his dad about. I was just like, that would be really funny,
Yeah.
but that was crazy. And then I said, when Juan Pablo and Andy, they had that conversation after their overnight, and Andy
It's
kind of like
okay.
told him off. It's okay. Yeah, I know. It's okay. Yeah, so that was that. I hadn't watched at this time, but just when Jesse gave the rose to the wrong girl when on his season,
Mm.
that's pretty interesting. That was kind of funny. And then speaking of songs, Nicole like serenaded Clay on Paradise. I forgot the song she sang, but I remember like and his reaction to it was funny. He was like, "Oh, okay." Like I don't think he was that interested, but it was just really funny. I definitely, you anybody who hasn't seen that, go definitely look that up because it's really funny.
Hmm.
Um, Ari and Becca's breakup, like the whole like split screen
Yeah.
thing they had was crazy. It was like the most insane thing I think I've ever seen, at least with that. When they said most dramatic, I think that might have been one of the most dramatic, just because
Hmm.
of how crazy it is. And then the whole he wouldn't leave when she told him to leave or whatever, and leave the house, and he didn't, and everybody was like, "Just leave, Ari."
Hmm.
It was just so funny. And then the proposal to Lauren on AFR that same night. And I was like, you know what? It worked out for both of them, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
So again, like they found their people and they're happy, and again, good
Yeah.
for them. So again, I'm happy about that. Like everybody was like, oh, Lauren and Ari are not going to last, and look what they are now. So it's just
Yeah.
like they really were, I guess, meant to
Yeah.
be with each other. So that's what happened. And then Barb's reaction to Hannah Ann's proposal on Peter's season when he said, and I proposed to Hannah Ann, and she went berserk like in a happy way. It was so funny. And she really wanted Hannah Ann. And then the whole
Yeah.
like the
The whole
whole
thing with Maddie and all that stuff.
Maddie and that whole thing. And then
It
in
was at
the
the beginning of the pandemic.
exactly, yeah. Yeah, beginning of pandemic, yeah. And then when she was like, bring her home to us, that whole thing, I was like, oh gosh. It was so weird. And like I said, the breakup with Maddie, like you said, or the Maddie thing when they
It was
had
a
the breakup
mess.
with Hannah Ann in the house, and then they went to Hannah, then they went to Maddie, and he was like, "Oh, you have to be okay with it, whatever," and she wasn't.
Mm.
And then she was speaking Spanish and stuff like that, and saying "back me up" or whatever to the husband. I don't know. It was just like a whole situation, crazy. And then
Yeah.
Victoria F and Peter, the whole Chase Rice date at the theme park. I thought it was
Hmm.
so funny because he was like, she knows all the words to the song, and then he was like, obviously they have like the voice over her, and it was like Chase and I used to date or whatever, and then Chase was like, "You guys having a good time?" And then they were like, "Yeah," and everything, and then
Yeah.
I love how
It's
they
like you just wonder if the production knew that. Like, I mean, for people that don't watch it, but they're listening to this, like,
they definitely had to. They probably asked, "Who have you dated anybody like
yeah,
of no or of like kind of popularity, and
yeah,
if so, who?" And like, oh, Chase Rice for the musical date. It's like,
like of course.
of course. And I love how like in the ITM when they're singing, and then Victoria's like crying in the corner or like on the side, because she's stressed about the situation. What's his name? Peter's like, oh, maybe Chase Rice will perform at our wedding. And it's just like so funny that he said that. And then
Mess.
same thing a few weeks later, hometown, they go to Virginia Beach where she's from, and then apparently I forgot her name, but like they did that thing where like he recognizes like his ex.
They said her name. They like blurred it all
They
out.
said her name and blurred her out and everything. And he was like, and she didn't say her name, but she's like, the person you're with, you don't know the whole story with her. And there's some things, the whole thing. And then he went to her house, didn't even meet her family. And then Victoria got very passive, and then Victoria got very passive aggressive. And then I guess she said something really mean. And then Peter was like, excuse me. And then she was like, excuse you what? And that's what Victoria said. I was like, come on.
That's why, yeah, like for anyone that didn't watch any of these seasons and then you watch like Paradise, that's why like,
yeah,
we went into Victoria like with this image and impression of Victoria based on this season. Like her situation on Peter's season was like not great. And that's why there were like memes of like, oh, Victoria's family is still waiting to meet Pilot Pete.
Yep.
And then it's like, well, now she's with Greg.
And all the craziness that ensues with that.
I don't know.
So that one, all the craziness with that. And then Chad on JoJo's season, all of Chad's moments was crazy. The two that come out to stand out of my mind were the "Come at me, Chris Harrison" or whatever, when he was like talking to him and saying he had to leave. I thought it was so funny. And then when something happened,
I'll tell you what I'm looking up in a second. Keep talking.
Oh, okay. And the guys I think sent him home or something like that. Or like the guys like said something and then I made JoJo send him home and then he was like, I'm not gonna put up with this. I'm gonna go back and fight them. And then he went back. I think they were at like some cabin in the woods or something like that. And they literally had like this, like I think it was like raining or whatever. And they had this like shot of like the lightning, like kind of a lightning silhouette of him behind the glass window. And he literally just like went like that on the window, kind of like a scary movie kind of thing. It was like obviously a production shot that they got, but I just thought that was so funny. All of Chad was crazy. I just thought that was all of him was insane. I didn't put this. The next one was Olivia in the cake on Ben's season with like the whole like dress on and stuff like that. And then I didn't write this on the thing, but with Olivia, I didn't write this in my notes, but with Olivia when they left her on the island. When they broke up with her, but that's a recurring theme. They leave people on the island all the time when they leave. And then Clayton's ending, obviously, all of Rachel and Gabby, the whole Iceland rose ceremony from hell thing from last year. That thing was obviously crazy, especially since like Rachel and Gabby kind of like at least Rachel forgave him. I think, yeah, she did, and I think she met his family. I think.
Well, I think Gabby and Rachel did go meet his family.
Yeah, they did. So they forgave him, and then the whole thing happened again. And then obviously
that's why they were mostly mad.
Yeah,
that's what Gabby had articulated was like, you went through this whole thing, and then you're still.
Which I agree. I completely agree with that. And then Rachel and Gabby, the whole rose ceremony in Iceland was crazy, just of how long it dragged on, and then, like you could hear Rachel sobbing, and then there's like echo through the whole thing, and then they had Clayton like standing there hearing it and stuff. It was just a whole crazy thing. If you haven't watched it on YouTube, so go check it out if you want.
Nobody look it up.
And then I know you might not. I have some tissues if you want, and then this was from Desiree's season, and this was actually shocked me quite a bit when I watched it, like actually like on this during the season, which when broke up with Desiree. I know we talked about this, is that it left kind of all of Bachelor Nation kind of like stunned because everybody assumed that she was going to be with him. But you know what? Like she's been with Chris ever since, and they have a family stuff, and I think they're really good together. So I'm happy for her. And then exactly. And then I said Clayton and Susie's fight in Iceland. When they had was that Iceland? I think it was in Iceland where like they were in that house or whatever, and she was gonna leave and said I didn't want to I didn't want to she wasn't sure. She could again the whole if you were intimate with anybody else, I don't think I can move forward, whatever. Again, recurring theme on every season. No one seems to really get the point. It always seems to keep
Yeah, I mean there's different things, the way each of them have handled it. I mean, Luke P was different from Maddie, was different from
Susie,
thank you. I her name. I was like, I almost said Sadie.
Sadie
Robertson. Anyway.
But yeah, but with Susie, yeah, and again, I was actually surprised that they were back together on AFR. But obviously
they gave it a shot.
Gave it a
I didn't
shot.
listen to that podcast episode they did with Caitlin. I mean, like, I have a lot of respect for them. I also have respect for her that she said no and then waited and then tried.
Yeah, and I don't blame them for trying. I feel like that's
neither do I.
They should have tried.
Neither do I.
And then two more things. And then Rachel and Tino, their whole house breakup thing again this past season, which is insane. I just, oh man, that was horrible. Especially, and again, what Tino did was like horrible and not great. And I don't defend that at all. But I don't think, like, I think nobody handled it well in that situation because Rachel kept talking in circles and just like, it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It just got very annoying and I just didn't think it accomplished anything. So that was crazy. I actually am gonna add one more thing just because I remember it was Tyler, his hometown when he had to go home to his family. After that was horrible. I felt so bad for him. How much I adore Tyler. So I'm just like, come on, man. It's like, but you know what? I'm glad she didn't lead him on. So I'm happy with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then the final thing I have it's the very small thing, but was Roby this past season, just because I thought he was really funny. And I love how he was on Mental All, and he was very opinionated. Nobody was like, "You were only on for 3 minutes, so you don't have a right to talk," whatever.
And he dyed his hair.
He dyed his hair. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have. But a lot of Bachelor moments that were memorable for sure.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, if we didn't mention one that you had, put it in the comments below.
Yes.
Let us know. Let us know if you checked out any of the videos of the dances or the moments from Bachelor Nation that we talked about. But I think that will do it for today's episode.
Yes.
So thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the post notification bell, and if you enjoyed it, share it with a friend. Also follow us on Instagram at Ballrooms and Bachelors and our personal Instagram accounts, which are linked in our Instagram bio and appear at the end screen of this episode. And I think we just have one more special themed episode we're planning to post before we start preparing to get ready for the Bachelor premiere. So just stay tuned and we'll be getting ready for the season soon. All right. Awesome. Take care, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.